Hey there, everybody. David Pease here, broadcasting from Studio Squim. And as you can see by the title card, I will be opening up boosters from Star Trek: The Card Game. Now, this is not the Decipher version that you might be familiar with. This is made by Fleer Skybox back in '96, predates the Decipher version by just a little bit, and focuses specifically on the original series. Who knows? They released a base set and then had one expansion come out called Starfleet Maneuvers. There was another expansion planned. They got as far as making the ad slicks for it and got those out to the different game stores, but alas, the game did not last long enough for that to hit stores. But we got a box of the base set here, and this one appealed to me. I'm a Star Trek fan, of course, but what really appealed to me was the look of these cards, and you'll see them in just a minute as we start opening boosters. And I'll put a couple examples up before we get started. But the design and the look of the cards was really great. I'm a fan of the show, so seeing the different episodes and how they're depicted throughout the card game, the challenges, the crew members, all those kinds of things really appealed to me. And the mechanics were different, even though it predated a lot of a lot of the when CCGs really kind of hit big there between like 97, 98 through mid 2000s there. Uh, the mechanics are still very unique, and I thought it was really a fun way to play. It was different, and hopefully during the course of opening this booster box, you'll be intrigued as well. I'll talk a little bit about the gameplay. This isn't going to be a learn to play. We might get a little bit into some of the mechanics just as I describe the cards and what I'll be looking for and what makes one card better than the other. But we do here on Studio Squim, we do have a couple of games that we broadcast prior to this. So if you're curious about how the game plays, you're interested, go take a look at those. They're here on Studio Squim, and you can see how the game plays. And I think you'll be interested in it as well. And like me, you'll kind of wish that the game had kept going, because you got to wonder, could it have stretched out even from the 3 seasons of the original series into the movies and maybe even into Next Generation, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, all those things. The potential is there, and just unfortunately, I think the license changed hands more so than the popularity of the game. The license changed hands, and Decipher took over from there. But just to we'll quickly talk about what the cards look like and what I'll be looking for uh, as we go through the boosters. And there's a couple different things to talk about, but we'll start with, in fact, we'll remove this and we're going to go to the main viewer here. We'll get this guy out of the way for just a moment, and we'll start with talking about the starter deck. You're going to need this in order to play. The reason for that is because, one, it has the directions, and two, it's got some cards that are exclusive to the starter deck. You won't find them in the boosters, and that is these cards here: the core crew, Kirk, Spock, McCoy, uh, the main characters from the show, and then and also scrunch these guys in a little bit, the USS Enterprise. There's also episodes, and again, we'll talk more about how these work in the game. But there's the mission, and then the plot, uh, and then discovery. The three representing the 3 acts of the show, and these particular ones are different because they are called default mission cards. The cool thing about this game is a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, but when you're playing a collectible card game, it can happen sometimes where you draw cards and you have what's called a dead hand. You don't have a card that is playable. And in order for the turn to move forward, your turn to move forward, you need to have at least one of each of these. So they provide you with default ones, and these ones are always going to be out on your play area. And if you draw cards and you find that you don't have a mission card or a plot card or a discovery card, you can rely on the default and just play that uh, instead of just having to forfeit your turn and lose some valuable game time. Um, yeah, and one other thing that's pretty important, and again, we'll talk a little bit more. I'll show this a little bit more, but this info card has proven invaluable. It's got the sequence of play on one side, which is always handy. But as you go through and you see the three values here, the red is combat. In fact, let's put old Jim Kirk up here on the beam him up to the transporter room here, so you can see it a little better. You can see there's the three icons here: the phaser that's red, the emblem here, the delta that represents humanity value, and then the blue, the Spock Vulcan symbol there that represents logic. And those are your skill values. And each character in here, whether it's the core guys here that I just showed you, or as we go through, you'll see crew cards that represent all the different crews: Nurse Chapel, Sulu, Chekhov, and all the different supporting characters. They're all going to have these three values here. And when your opponent challenges you, their challenge card will have those values as well. And they will have a certain way that they attack, and that's kind of dictated by how they interacted with the crew in the actual TV show. So it's kind of a clever way to do it. But you'll compare those values to see who wins the challenge. And the info card, depending on how that challenge card interacts, whether it's through combat or abduction or capture, which is the same thing, or those things, it'll determine which of those three values you use to compare, and who will and that value will ultimately, and this is one of the cool mechanics, so rather than comparing those skills and whoever has the highest value wins, the cards, and I'll bring up a crew card here so you can see the difference between the core group and a crew card here. The core group here has the red stripe on the left side. Crew cards, come on, beam me up, Uhura. The regular crew cards that you'll see a lot more of have the blue stripe there on the left, but you can see the different values there for Uhura. And where I'm really going for is this emblem down here in the corner. And that is the humanity. So what'll happen is that value up here, whatever you end up using, let's say the challenge involved logic, what this number represents is 4 cards that you would draw from your deck. We'll go back to the main viewer here so you can get a bigger view here. You see the cards I was talking about, the core or default cards, they don't have that, but these other cards do. And we said Uhura was going to draw 4 logic for her challenge. And we'll say that this is your draw deck here. That means you draw 4 cards from the top of your deck. And you will look and see how many of the logic symbols you're going to get. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now in this case, I drew 2 logic and 2 humanity. And depending on what my opponent drew, if they drew more logic symbols than I did, then they would win that challenge. Very interesting mechanic, and of course there are effects and wildcards and those kinds of things that will change that value. They'll say all humanity cards now act as logic cards, or things like that, things that'll change it around. So you're not necessarily dialed into what you chose there. But the interesting part of that mechanic is it does burn through your cards. It burns through your deck pretty quickly. There are cards that recover those. Say you drew in here, and there's that card you've been waiting for. There are cards that allow you to retrieve that. There are cards that let you shuffle your discard pile back into your deck. And this game is not a deck is life uh, type of game where when you run out of cards in your draw pile, the game is over. You just shuffle your discard pile and start all over again. So even though you saw it come out maybe in one of these icon draws here, that they'll call it, if you see a card you were waiting for there, it's not necessarily gone or out of the game. You may get it back later if you go through your entire deck, or you find one of those cards that will help you retrieve it. So that's kind of the gist of that. But yeah, like I said, you will need that starter deck to get these core cards here, and of course the info card's a big help there. But the good news is you can find this starter. You can find sealed starter decks on eBay. Now remember that this is now February 13th of 2025. So when I quote these prices, it's probably going to change a little bit by the time you watch this. But you can find these starter decks, a sealed starter deck, anywhere from $5 to $10. Very little, very low cost to get into the game. You will need one of these starter decks. Your opponent will also need one. This is not a two-player starter. It's just for one person. So your opponent will need one as well. But we talked a little bit about, we showed Kirk there in the transporter room. We'll throw him up there again real quick to just kind of talk about those core cards a little bit more. You can see he's got the commanding officer. That's a keyword there that may come in handy later on to trigger an effect. And also you can see he's got a card effect as well, Intercede, pay 1xc, which stands for experience counter. That's experience counters are what you use throughout the game to purchase different cards, or purchase or pay for effects and abilities to be able to use them. So you'll see XC referred to a lot. Pay 1xc to make Kirk the target of an action. Kirk is -1 on all ratings if used in this manner. So very interesting. Kirk can kind of take, if someone is targeting one of your other crew members, Spock, McCoy, Uhura, Sulu, any one of those other ones. If you have an experience counter that you can use to pay for it, Kirk can take over for that. And you can see, especially if it's a combat, he's got a very high combat value of 7, as one would expect on that. So he would draw 7 cards from his draw deck. If he used this ability to do that, it would be -1. It would be 6, but still 6 is a pretty good number. Pretty good number. And then, of course, McCoy also has his own chief medical officer there, and medical keyword. And his effect, if McCoy is on the landing party, all other crew with medical are +1 on logic and humanity. So that's he helps other crew members who have like skills on that. Very quickly, I'll bring back the main viewer here and talk just a little bit more about these core cards. The reason these are important, not only because they are the main 3 characters from the show, and of course the Enterprise as well. But what will happen is, as you progress through, or as you start your turn, and we'll put these default episode cards down here as well. When you start your turn, you will choose your landing party. Now, your landing party can include Kirk, McCoy, Spock. These guys are always going to be available. In fact, you will share these with your opponent. They will accumulate those experience counters throughout gameplay, and you'll keep them on the different cards to use to pay for their abilities. And so you'll have one set, even though you and your opponent will both have a set when they open their starter deck. You'll only use one, and you'll use those in common. And then as you play the game, you will draw crew cards and bring those in, and you will choose your landing party. And your landing party, say I only wanted to use Kirk and Uhura, they would be my landing party, and then these guys would go to the side, and they would be the ones who play through the different episode cards. Uh, and as you can imagine, as you accomplish the different parts of the episode, you gain experience counters through that. Uh, I'm kind of a little all over the place. Like I said, this isn't a learn to play necessarily. I just want you to know what I'm looking for. Uh, let's call up one of these episode cards so you can see that, and you'll get a little better idea of what I'm looking for here. You can see it's just a generic one. It's not referring to any specific episode. A little flavor text there in the middle, and then +1 XC. So if you send your landing party to this this mission card, say your opponent challenges you, you win the challenge, you move on to the next episode, next act of the episode. And if you accomplish the entire episode, you will get that 1XC at the end. And as you can imagine, these default ones don't reward you a whole lot. You can see there's no reward there, but there are other episode cards that are pulled from the actual show. And I'll grab an example here so you can see what I mean. One of my favorites, City on the Edge of Forever. So you can see the default card did not have that icon in there because it's not part of your draw deck, but you can see it here, a combat symbol. Again, a little screenshot from the episode, a little bit of flavor text, and then here's the effect. So +2 XC. So if you were to finish all 3 acts of your turn, you would get 2 XC at the end. And then on playing this card, all players may discard any number of cards and draw that many cards from their deck. So that's nice. It's great if you have a bad hand, but unfortunately it applies to both you and your opponent. And I will mention this is a multiplayer game. You can have up to 4 people, and you would all share those crew cards, which is kind of neat. Now I say this specifically because as you move on through it, here's the plot card that is next in line for that, and you can see another +2. The Enterprise or crew cannot join the landing party. There are cards that allow you to take crew cards and move them into your landing party afterward. But if you're playing this one, of course, if you remember the episode, Kirk, Spock, McCoy go back in time, and the rest of the crew are not able to go back with them. They're stuck there, and there's nothing they can do to help. So the little thematic effect to go with it, and you can see the logic symbol there, and a +2. So again, if you finish all 3 acts, you'll get 2 from the mission, you'll get 2 from the plot, but there are these episode cards. Now you can see here's the humanity there if you were to be involved in a card flip for a challenge, the flavor text, but notice here it's a -2 XC. All current players complement may receive XC as if they had participated in the episode, which means all of your crew. I'm kind of getting in the weeds there with that effect, but I really want to point out the -2. And the reason I say that is, why would you play that on yourself and take away 2 XC? That's nuts, right? Well, as you play through your turn and play down these episode cards, your challenger has the opportunity to play an episode card on top of yours. So this is say I'm using the default and I don't have any card to put down. Your opponent has the opportunity to put a card down on here and take away 2 XC from you. And well, you get all the things there, but they actually took away 2xc. So that's why you'll see some of these episode cards. You wonder, how is that beneficial? Why would I play that on myself? Well, it's because your opponent would actually use that to take away your XC. Now you're probably wondering by now, what are the win conditions? How do I win, David? Well, you win by being the first player to get 25 experience counters. Now those are spread out at the end of your turn. You can the XC that you're awarded, you can put on different players, your crew, or you go on the core crew, or any number of these additional crew that you have on the side. Keeping in mind, if you have 25 XC during your turn, you win. But remember that these are shared. These crew cards, these ones with the red, the core crew, are shared between you and your opponent. So when the turn flips, if you put XC on any of these guys, and then the turn flips, your opponent is now going to play their episode cards. Any XC that you put on here now becomes theirs. So it's something to keep in mind. You definitely want to have crew cards out on your field. You can't just rely on the core crew. You got to have these guys out here. They act as almost like a bank, where you would put your XC on there and use it to pay for abilities from there and that sort of thing. And there are other cards that you can put XC on, and we'll see those in just a minute. We've talked about the core crew, which we won't see in any of these boosters. I just kind of wanted you to be familiar with how they interact with the other cards. And I should say too that the examples I gave are specifically from the City on the Edge of Forever. I pulled those out because it had that -2, so I wanted to definitely show that. There are lots of episode cards that depict the entire range. I think just actually the first and second season, but there are discovery, plot, and mission cards from all those different episodes. You can mix and match. You don't necessarily have to play all your cards from the City on the Edge of Forever. You can mix and match whatever the effect is going to help you in that particular case. You do get a bonus if you play all 3 from the same episode, but it doesn't always work out that way, either by the luck of the draw or maybe you play the City on the Edge of Forever, but you want to avoid that -2, so you'll play a different one instead. I keep shaking the table here, and it makes my thing out of focus, but that's that. So I was talking about different cards that can affect the value on the crew card, the combat or the humanity or the logic. Here's one of those cards. It's called an effect card. And you can see it's got the shape of a tricorder around there. So that's kind of a neat little thing. And it changes all humanity icons to logic icons. So in that specific example, we wanted Uhura to draw as many logic cards as she could. If you had this in your hand and you had, in our case, we had 2 humanity and 2 logic, you could play this card to change those humanity to logic. And now all of those cards become logic. In our example from earlier, you would have had 4 logic, which is actually pretty good. And there are all kinds of different effects, things that switch these icons back and forth, and maybe add or take away from your ability. There's phaser rifles that add 2 to your combat, or tricorder that adds 2 to your logic, or you can imagine the different combinations that come with that. So I was saying, as you play down the episode cards, your opponent will challenge you. This is an example of a challenge. In fact, let me put up this one first. Trelane, you may remember him. You can see he's got the 3 values there. He also has a little bit of flavor text here, but you can see in green, well, you can barely see there, but it says godlike, and that is highlighted in green. And that means that is a keyword for that card. that can play in. There are cards that help you change things with godlike abilities. It may add to your skills. It may take away from your skill. And by skill, I mean these three abilities here. The number that you're going to draw from your draw pile for that challenge. There are several keywords. There's godlike, there's computer, there's android, quite a few out there. Vulcan, Klingon, and different cards will affect those in different ways. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for any keywords. We definitely want to see the higher this number, the better. And there you can see he's got the humanity there for draw, and pay 2xc from your power base. That's the cost to be able to play Trelane as a challenge to your opponent. As you can imagine, and again, one of the things I really loved about this, all these different bad guys from Star Trek are here. There's Landru, there's Klingons. Here's an example of Core, and you can see he's got that Klingon keyword there. And so I'll show you a card that is a good example of how that affects that. But they all have the same common thing. Here's an Andorian. Oh, you dirty rat, come back here. The Nomad probe is there too. Everyone's favorite, the Mugatu, the gorilla suit that they spray painted white and glued a horn onto it because they just didn't have a bad guy for that day of filming. And here's even the triples make a showing. So that's kind of a neat thing too. But what I wanted to show here, I was talking about Core with his Klingon keyword. Here is another card I want to show you, and that's a permanent wild. As you can figure by the name, permanent means that a wild card, there are regular wild cards, which I'll show you in just a moment. A wild card you will play once, get its effect, and then put it in your discard pile. That's kind of a common type of card that you'll find in most collectible card games. The permanent wild is one where you will play it and it will stay in play, and you can continue to benefit from those, from the effects on this card. And you can see while in play, all cards with the Klingon attribute are +1 to their combat rating. So Core here starts with 5. If you had the Klingon battle cruiser in your field, his combat would be 6. So that's kind of a nice thing. I'm going to keep that Klingon battlecruiser handy because you may have seen, here's these bad guys, the Telosians. All the same things here. You can see the keyword telepathic. Well, you probably can't see it unless you're, the green sometimes doesn't always show up well, but they have the keyword telepathic, which can come into play. There were a lot of episodes that they had telepathic people in there. So there's card effects that will take advantage of that. But up here, there's this Enterprise symbol. What that means is I was talking about the core crew with the red stripes on them that you get in the starter. The Enterprise is not considered part of the landing party that you would take to do challenges. Typically, it's just the 3 core group, and the Enterprise kind of stays to the side. Well, a card with this Enterprise symbol forces the Enterprise to join the landing party, and it can now be targeted for challenges. Now, the cool, unique part of that, and I mentioned a win condition is to get 25 experience counters or XCs through winning challenges and getting all the way through the 3 acts of your episode. There is another win condition that is pretty fun. In fact, I even tried this. It didn't work, but I can see how it would work. It was only like my 2nd or 3rd game, so I wasn't super good at the game. But note this Klingon battle cruiser, pay 1 XC and remove 1 XC from the USS Enterprise if it's part of the landing party. Now, at the beginning of the game, the Enterprise is treated a little differently. Like I said, it's part of the core group, but it's kind of set aside. It's not part of landing parties unless a card like this comes in. and brings it in. But at the beginning of the game, depending on how many players you have in the game, if it was just myself and one other person, we would put one XC on the Enterprise for each of us. So it would start out with 2. This Klingon battle cruiser comes in, stays in the field, and each turn you can pay an XC to remove one XC from the Enterprise if it's in the landing party. Now, as you can imagine, once the Enterprise runs out of XC, the Enterprise is considered destroyed, and that is another win condition. So that's kind of a fun way to sneak in and so win the game through an alternate win condition. And if, as you can imagine, there's also the Romulan bird of prey uh, with the same thing there. Pay 1 XC and remove 1 XC from a permanent wild. Permanent wilds are another card that you can put XC on since they stay in the game. And that second ability, remove 1 XC from the USS Enterprise. And then you can see the Romulan keyword is mentioned there a couple different times. All Romulans are +1 on combat if the bird of prey is in play. So you can make a Romulan themed deck. There are Romulan challenges that are in here that would take advantage of that keyword. And that other one there, the third one at the bottom, pay 2 XC to remove from your deck a Romulan challenge and place it in your hand. So again, another way that the keywords can help you out, and these permanent wilds can keep coming back to help you out. Now, as you can imagine, also as the Klingons and the Romulans are attacking you, there are cards called phasers and photon torpedoes, and you can use those to either prevent damage or remove permanent wilds from there. Let's see if I can find that last one that I want to show you, and that is just a regular wild. So the permanent wild you play and it stays in play. Here's an example of just a regular old wild card, Shirtless Kirk. A great one. This one won't come in boosters. This was a promo card that came in one of the trade magazines at the time. But you would play this once, get its effect. If it had any cost, you would pay the XC to do that. If you didn't have the XC, you could not play it, but you get that one effect and then it goes right to your discard. And you can see it also has the icon on there. That is kind of the gist of it here. Those are the cards the kinds of cards you'll see in here, the permanent wilds, the regular wilds, effects, episodes, challenges. That's what we're going to run into here. We won't see any of those core cards coming in. But I did want to share with you very quickly. I do this each time. I want to show what cards I'm looking for. We're going to see what I get out of this. Now, these cards are not hard to get. They're out there on the various auction sites, and they made quite a few when they first distributed this game, and a lot of these sealed boxes are still floating around. And I've opened, I think, 2, maybe 3 of these already off camera a long time ago to build up my collection. If you can imagine, I'm still missing a couple of cards, and from the base set, I'm missing these 2 cards at the top. Beg your pardon. I'm missing Dr. Roger Corby, which is a challenge, and Lieutenant Commander Benjamin Finney, and you can see the little the images of the cards there. So I'll be looking for those for sure to finish up my collection. Hopefully I'll get multiples. They're rares, so not likely, but the odds are in my favor that I'll probably find at least one of these 2 in the box here. Not necessarily looking for those for the game effects, but definitely one as a collector. You want to have at least have one of each one. Now this other list just below, these are cards I'm looking for. I have at least one of these, but I definitely want to have more than 1 or 2. You can have, when you're building your deck, you can have as many as 4 copies of a card. Now you can't play them all at the same time, but as I was showing, you go through your draw pile very quickly with these icon flips. There are challenges that just say flip the top card. If it's a humanity, you get this. If it's logic, this happens, and if it's combat, this happens. So there are times where you'll just flip the one top card as part of a challenge or a wild, and other times when you're in a challenge and you're using those number values to draw, you're going to go through your deck really fast. So being able to have four uh, is really important. So a lot of these cards I only have like one of or two of, and I want to have more so I can really maximize my deck. And another interesting part of deck building is you can have the minimum is 50. And normally with games like this, it's 60. But in this one, it's 50, so you can go through a deck pretty fast, and you can take that one of two ways. Your cards are gonna disappear really fast in those challenges with those icon flips, but you're also gonna go through your deck pretty quick and refresh it pretty fast. So something to think about. And uh, another thing I like about this game is those icons. Having those icons on there, it's just another trick uh, to deck building. And another piece of the puzzle. It's not just throwing together the most powerful crew and characters and what's going to get you the most XC really fast. Uh, you got to keep in mind these things, because if you're putting out a challenge to your opponent, or you're the target of a challenge, you want to make sure that you are getting the most of these icons. So you want to have those effect cards that maybe change what the color of the icon is to help you out, or if you uh, are steering your deck in a very specific direction with specific crews or specific episodes, and you need to have these symbols to win challenges. You're planning on using Spock more so than any other of the crew during the game. Well, he's a 7 logic, but you draw 7 cards, but it doesn't do any good if you draw all humanity, or you draw 1 or 2 logic and a bunch of the humanity and combat. Uh, you've lost the challenge, and you're in a bad way, because that could take Spock out of the turn, could even take him out of the game. So as you're building your deck, you have to keep those icons in mind, uh, and that's just another fun part of this deck building. This part of this, you'll see that in a couple other games, Battlestar Galactica being one, where you have to kind of pay attention to the Cylon value, because if you put too many cards that have a high Cylon value, you're likely going to get a Cylon challenge, which I digress. But yeah, that's kind of the scoop. Very quickly, you can see here in the list why I'm looking for these cards. Couple more so than others. Kales, there, that second one. 6 combat, 6 logic. That's nuts. And he's got the Klingon keywords. So again, if you have that Klingon battle cruiser in there, you get a +1 on that combat. Brings them up to 7. That's really good. 6 is already a pretty good value for that to draw cards, but to even boost that up 1 to 7 is great. So Kales is a pretty good card if you're going to be running a Klingon deck. It is a rare, so I think I only have like 1 or 2 of those. So I definitely want to have more of those so I can take advantage of that. The first one, I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, Hakam, and Landru. These two kind of go together when Landru is in play. Hakam gets a +2 to all of his skills. So that's kind of a neat thematic thing to do if you want to play it that way. And I'd like to be able to perform that combo. Here's a good one, Lieutenant Marla McGivers. Reshuffle your discard pile into your draw pile. Again, if you're doing a lot of challenges, you're flipping a lot of cards to get those icons, and you're seeing cards that you were really counting on disappear in those challenge flips and those icon flips. It can break your heart. Having Lieutenant Marla McGivers in your deck and eventually out on the play field and your crew, and you can take advantage of that effect to reshuffle that discard pile back into your draw pile and hopefully be able to get your hands on those cards that you're counting on. So that's a great card to have a lot of. Nomad, I showed one of those earlier, so you know I already have one in my collection, but it's got that computer keyword, and I do have plans for deck building with the keyword computer. So I only have one Nomad, so I definitely want to have more of those so I can take advantage of that keyword there. Organian Council of Elders, 7 logic, and they've got, strangely, they've got the Klingon keyword. Um, if you've seen the episode, I don't want to spoil it for you, but they do have the Klingon keyword there. So again, that plays into making a Klingon deck, and I found myself with only one copy of that. So I definitely am hoping to run into that card as I go through these boosters coming up. Return of the Archons. I only have one, and I just need 3 more. Just to round it out. So if I'm going to be playing that episode or that card, I want to be able to play it. It didn't necessarily have a gameplay advantage, but I definitely want to have that available. Slingshot effect, wild card. This is a great one. It's classified as very rare in this collection. I do need 3 more of these. And the cool thing is, I was talking about some challenges just say flip the top card. There's no comparing between you and your opponent. You just flip the top card, and whatever you get, that particular card will tell you, well, if it's humanity, it's this. If it's combat, it's this. And having that slingshot effect wild card will allow you to redo that flip. So maybe you flipped that icon and it wasn't what you wanted, and you don't have an effect card to change it. You do not have an effect card to change it. Using the slingshot effect will give you another chance to flip another card, so maybe you'll have better luck. So slingshot effect is a nice one to help you with that. Starbase 11, a permanent wild. I was saying those are the ones where you can play to your field and you can continue to take advantage of the effects that it gives you. Starbase 11 increases your hand size by 1, so you can have an extra card in your hand, and drawing cards into your hand is far better than losing them to icon flips and icon draws. So the more you can have in your hand, the better. The Keeper, a challenge, a very rare 6 humanity, is another high value, and you can play it for free if Talos 4, which is another permanent wild base there. If Talos 4 is in play, you get the Keeper. You get to play the Keeper for free, and with the 6 humanity, that's a powerful card. So that's really good. Transporter Duplicate, looks like we got cut off there on the bottom, but Transporter Duplicate, the values on that card, instead of having numbers like these other cards, they have asterisks, and it says you can duplicate a member of the landing party. So as a challenge, you can duplicate Captain Kirk or Spock, or maybe they have Sulu in there or something like that. You can duplicate that member, and maybe that will help you in your challenge, or maybe negate your opponent's challenge. But kind of a neat little trick there. That last one, Transporter fully operational, that lets you, if you set your landing party, after that, your crew, the rest of your crew is set to the side. The transporter fully functioning means that you can take a card that's been set aside from your crew and add it to your landing party after you're already mid-turn. So if you get hit with a challenge that you can't seem to get past, if you have that card, you can pull in another crew member that might be able to help you out. So that's kind of a cool thing to do. Those are the cards I'm looking for from the base set. Hopefully I will find them in this fine box that we're about to open up here. Let's see what we can do. Let's cross our fingers and see what happens, right? We will change the format here. Oop, nobody wants to see that. Let's go to the main viewer and we'll open this little guy up and see what happens. There are a lot of cards in here, so I may not stop at every card. I always promise to go through these things quickly, and then I gotta kind of get caught in the weeds because I do really enjoy these games, and I like to talk about them and talk about the different strategies, and hopefully as I talk through them, you will want to get involved with it too, and maybe start thinking about. You'll see some of these cards, and maybe you'll see some kind of card synergy that I was didn't, and you'll want to start trying that. So hopefully I get you excited. There are a lot of cards here. Let's just pull them out of the box so I can use the box for the foil garbage and kind of keep the bridge nice and clean, like I know Captain Kirk would want it. So there we go. Ooh, how many cards are in this thing? 36, and each one has 15 cards. So um, there is another ticking clock involved with this, and that is the the camera I'm using for the main viewer has very limited battery, so I have to kind of hurry and get through this since I've already been going for 45 minutes. That's not good. It only has about an hour and a half, so that's another ticking clock. So here's some episode cards. The Squire of Gothos, another godlike. You can see the Trelane card that I showed in the example had the godlike. So this says all godlike challenge cards are immediately discarded and generate no XC. So that's a good one if the Trelane challenge is out there on the field, you get to the third act and you're going to have to go back and finish that challenge. You could play this one and eliminate Trelane and not have to worry about him at all. So that's kind of a fun little gotcha. Your opponent probably thinks he's got you cornered, and you're able to just eliminate it. A good example, well, not a good example because I don't remember the specific cards, but I was playing a deck against Nathan that was heavy on Android, and he had all of these cards that negated Android and reduced my skills of all Androids, and he took me to the cleaners, and we were both kind of laughing about it because even though neither of us knew what the other one was going to play, he had me over a barrel with that one. So here's another this one, another episode card, the mission. So the first part of the turn there, the first act from Shore Leaf. So that's kind of neat. There's the plot card from the Menagerie. And you can see there's that Enterprise card. So that would bring the Enterprise into the landing party. Here's a keyword we haven't seen yet. All captain challenges are +1 to all ratings. There are challenges that represent the different Captain Decker is in there, and a couple other captains from the episodes. You'll see that keyword. Hopefully we'll run into some of those. Mission card. So that's the very first card, the very first act. +2 XC. Plot cards may only be played from the cage on this mission and still receive an episode bonus. So you could be playing the cards from the cage and not be getting the bonuses. That's not good. A lot of episode cards in this one. This one's the Discovery Act from Operation Annihilate. There's the little jelly thing there that got smoked by the crew there, got burned up. This one's nice, +1 XC or +2. If a member of the landing party has a logic rating of 5 or greater. So if you have a Spock in your landing party, he has a 7 logic on his card. So that's something you can plan for if you're going to use Spock a lot and have that card in there. You can take advantage of that. Oh, the mission card from Miri. So the first act there from Miri, +3 XC. Challenges with the Enigma keyword are +1. So that's an interesting one. Here's a wild card with Klingon challenge. Let's just throw this up here because it's the first one we run into. We'll put that in the transporter room and take a closer look. All non-Klingon, non-godlike challenges are at +1 to combat rating for the remainder of the episode. It's an interesting one there, a little thematic with the Klingons selling weapons to everybody. So you can imagine the Klingons selling weapons to your different challenges. Here's a permanent wild. That's kind of a cool one. The ion storm. Now there's 3 different effects, and this one stays in play, so you can continue to use it over and over again. Pay 1xc. The current episode cannot be voluntarily abandoned. What that means is, as you play through, if it looks like you're going to get screwed and you're not going to be able to finish the all 3 acts of the episode, or there's a challenge out there that you're going to have to revisit from a previous act uh, that you think might kill one of your characters, you can abandon the episode, and there's a little bit of a penalty from that. But if this permanent wild is out there and your opponent plays that 1xc, you can't abandon it. So you just have to play the fate and hope that you get through it. So that's just one of the effects there. The other one, pay 2xc, remove 1xc from a member of the landing party. So that's interesting. And then pay 2xc, force a crew to make an icon flip. That's that icon flip that I was telling you about, where you just draw the first card from your draw pile, and whatever it says in the instruction booklet for just a generic icon flip, what that icon would do to you. Usually it means either your one of your characters is stunned and you turn them sideways and they can't be part of a challenge and they don't accept XC, or they can have all the XC removed. There's different penalties for that. Challenge card. This is the Romulan Centurion, if you remember that guy. Kind of low value there. Three combat, 2 humanity. Well, of course, 2 humanity, right? But 4 logic, so that's kind of okay. But he does have the Klingon and Romulan. Says an old battle-wise. Oh, excuse me, an old battle-wise captain, not Klingon. Captain, the Klingon, or excuse me, the Romulan is a, gosh, this writing is so small here, is a cautious and dangerous opponent. So it's got both the captain and the Romulan keywords, so you can take advantage of a couple different things. Like I showed that bird of prey from earlier. Wild card there, Starfleet's commendation. Play to allow 1 neutralized crew to receive XC. I was saying that icon flip, one of those, or one of the results from a challenge can be characters neutralized. That's what I was saying, when they get turned sideways and they can't be awarded XC at the end of the episode when you add up everything that you've won. This would change that, so they can get the XC even if they've been neutralized during the course of the episode. Here's a challenge. Lenore Caradian. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I know the Trekkies are going to be flaming me in the you call yourself a Trekkie? Get out of here. But not the best card. 2, 4, and 2, and no effect on there. So, ooh, there's the Romulan battle cruiser commander. I remember that lady from watching it when I was a kid. 5 combat, not too bad. She also has the captain and Romulan keywords, and Vulcan and Romulan keyword, the Vulcan one there at the end too. This is what I was talking about earlier. Let's bring this up real quick with this challenge card. I was saying that the different challenges bring different effects. Here is one example. You can use either a capture or tempt challenge. Now, you may remember she was trying to be all smoldering and sexy in this episode to convince Spock to switch sides and betray Captain Kirk. So you can imagine the capture attempt. And then I'll show you very quickly. This is the reference, the info card that comes in the starter kit. And you can see the different types of challenges here on the end. They call them actions. So in this case, say you were to choose capture, you would use the red combat rating to decide how many cards you flip over. The target, choice of challenging players. So the person who played that challenge is to choose who the target is. So obviously you're going to choose the person who has the least amount of combat. combat numbers, and then the result there you can see in this case is neutralized. Again, that's flipping it sideways, and they can't uh, participate in the episode or collect XC. And you can see all the different, here's attack, uses the combat rating, the current player. So instead of the person who challenged, put down the challenge, the person who is defending would be the current player, and they get to choose who is the target. So they can choose the person who has the best value. And the result, you do an icon flip, and again, you would refer to the rule book there. Whatever icon you flipped over from your discard pile would determine what the result of that challenge would be. Another challenge here, Colonel Green. 6 combat there, another nice one. It only costs 1 XC, that's not too bad. Here's an effect card I was saying can change what happens. I left it on the transporter, so why don't we just put it up there. In this case, you would use this if your challenge meant that you needed humanity as your icon. As a result of the draw, you needed to have more humanity icons than your challenger. You could play this effect and get an extra 2 without having to draw any additional cards. So that's kind of a nice thing to have. Let's go back to the main viewer here. And the last one, this is a funny one. Alice from Alice in Wonderland. You may remember that one. There's also, we'll probably run into it here as we open these boosters. The rabbit is there. The Black Knight is a challenge that's in this game as well. Like I said, you're going to recognize a lot of the different characters, which makes this game a lot of fun. I highly recommend. I'm probably not describing it well enough to really sell you on it. I recommend you go and check out the gameplay that we have on there, and you'll see how these things play out. And it's really a lot of fun. So there's the Discovery third act from the cage there. Takes advantage of the telepathic keyword. Telepathic challenge cards are immediately discarded and generate no XC. So that's a nice one to save your skin at the end of the episode. If you're looking at a telepathic challenge, you can help yourself out and you get +1 XC. Oh, there's that City on the Edge of Forever again. We talked about that earlier with the -2. The second act for the episode Errand of Mercy, +2 XC, not bad. Episode cannot be abandoned voluntarily. So you get 2 XC, but you lock yourself in. So you better be confident that you're going to be able to finish that episode without losing any characters or being challenged to the point where it's going to be detrimental to you. Here's the plot episode card from The Devil in the Dark, +1 XC, which is kind of whatever, but all landing party members with combat ratings of 3 or less are neutralized unless current player controls a crew with engineering. So you would need to find having your crew Scotty or any of those guys. There's a couple different engineer crew cards that you would need to have to help yourself out. That's one that your opponent would play on you while you're trying to finish your episode. Your opponent would play that out to try and neutralize your crew. Here's the mission card from the first act from The Devil in the Dark, +2 XC. All crew are +1 on combat ratings, so +1 and you help yourself out. Here's the Discovery card from This Side of Paradise, +2 XC, not bad. All remaining actions requiring logic ratings and icons use combat ratings and icons instead. So an interesting one to flip it around. Again, if you were building a deck that focused a lot on combat, that would help you out a lot. If you were depending on the combat icon and your characters had high combat ratings, that would be a good card to help you out. Here is the mission Act 1 from The Conscience of the King. All members of initial landing party must have a logic or humanity rating of 4 or higher. That kind of dictates what your landing party is going to look like. So hopefully you're prepared for that. Wildcard Romulan cloaking device. Play to return a challenge card that was defeated this episode to your hand. So if you play a challenge card and it's a good challenge card, you want to keep it. If it gets defeated, it goes to your discard pile, but this card will bring it back for you, so you don't necessarily lose it. You don't have to wait for your discard pile to come around. There's the plot card, the second act from The Naked Time, a classic screen grab there of Sulu and with his foil there, challenging everyone to a saber fight. Plus 2 XC, but all crew are at -1 to all ratings. That's a toughie. And again, there's that Enterprise icon, brings the Enterprise into your landing party. There's a crew card, Uhura. We've already seen her. We looked at her earlier when I was talking about the different cards. There's Act 1, the mission card from the Galileo 7, a +0 XC or +2 XC if landing party includes at least one crew with engineering or shuttlecraft abilities. Those would be those keywords in green that I was talking about. So if you were trying to plan a thematic deck that goes around the Galileo 7 episode, you could build your deck to take advantage of that. Here's a challenge, insane colonists. They're insane. This guy's having a little conniption fit here too. It's an interesting one. +3 on all ratings if challenge cards with Conquer are in play. Conquer being the type of action there. This one's attack, but if there's another one out there on the play field that has Conquer as its challenge action, you get a +3 on all ratings for the colonists. The reason that there would be multiple challenges in there is if the opposing player plays a challenge and they win, that challenge stays on that particular episode card, and you move on to the next act or the next scene in the episode. But once you get to the third act, you have to go back and challenge and finish that challenge again. You will either lose it again, and you'll just keep losing until you run out of crew, or until you eventually win the challenge. So the idea behind this one is that you're building on those challenges. So the idea behind this one is you get +3 on there. You would already have had a challenge out on the play field and won that challenge, and Conquer was its action. So you got to be pretty confident. But if you can pull off that combination, you're playing a good game. Here's another effect. Adds to logic to your icon draw. And there's a good one. This is a common card, so when I say it's a good one, just that it's a very familiar character from the original series, the Gorn. And we've seen the Gorn come back in Strange New Worlds. If you're a Star Trek fan, you've been watching the show Strange New Worlds. The Gorn has come back. They've been kind of the big enemy for that second season, and left it at a cliffhanger on that. So the Gorn came back. They don't look quite like the rubber suit from the original series, but now that they've got a bigger budget and better special effects, but kind of neat that they brought the Gorn back. That was a neat one. That challenge, not too bad, a 5 attack, but if you look at Kirk, if he were to challenge Kirk's a 7 combat. So if you're going to pull out a Gorn and Kirk is going to take that on, Kirk's going to win it unless you've got some good effect cards to help you out. Moving along, here is the first act from the Man Trap there, a +2 XC for the bonus at the end, but +1 to all crew humanity ratings. So that's an interesting one. There's Mud's Women, the mission card from that, the first act. Plus 3XC, that's nice. All challenges with Befuddle are +1 to all ratings. Befuddle is one of those challenge actions, and as you can imagine, uh, we saw the tribbles earlier. That was a Befuddle uh, action that you would challenge with. Uh, as you can imagine, Mud's women have the tempt, and I think Befuddle or Harry Mudd has the Befuddle uh, on that, so you can kind of make a Mud's Women or a Harry Mudd themed deck if you wanted to. There's the plot card from the Corbomite maneuver, and you can see again there's that Enterprise icon to bring the Enterprise into your landing party. Plus 2XC, that's kind of becoming kind of the common one there. All challenges with Enigma are +1 to all ratings, so that's another challenge action, Enigma, that would determine which ability you use to see which how many cards you draw from your draw pile for the challenge. Here is Act 1, the mission card from Where No Man Has Gone Before. Current player may bring an unlimited number of crew on the landing party. Well, there's a guaranteed. Well, I hesitate to say a guaranteed win, but that sure puts you in a good position. Here's the mission card, Operation Annihilate, +0 for XC at the end, but +3 if all crew in the initial landing party have combat rating of 4 or greater. So you can put Captain Kirk and a few red shirts in there with some high combat ratings, and maybe take advantage of that +3, which is nice. Here's a crewman. What's this guy's name? Kind of a funny looking dude. Geological technician Fisher. Not too impressive with 2 combat, 1 humanity, and 3 logic. He's a non-combatant, as you could guess. Pay 1 XC to restore a kill result. Well, that's kind of nice, actually. If through a challenge or an icon flip one of your crew is killed, you can pay 1 XC and bring him back. So that's not too bad. Oh, there's Hikaru Sulu. Let's take a quick peek at him while I thumb through these here. Simply because we'll bring him to the transporter room. We'll beam him up. Hikaru Sulu, 6 combat, very nice. 3 humanity, 4 logic, not too bad. And the helmsman and helm keywords there. Those have, I believe those allow you to, that keyword allows you, it's an effect you can take advantage of to search your deck for a particular card. Each of those crew cards have a really cool little thing that comes with them. But again, I don't want to get too in the weeds here because my clock is ticking. Here's the discovery phase showing Miri. +2 if a crew with medical is in the landing party when this card is played. It's not too bad. There's the Black Knight I was talking about, another common one. We'll probably see several of him. The discovery card, Act 3 from A Taste of Armageddon. All challenges with the negotiate are immediately discarded. No XC awarded. So that's another one. Not sure if that would help or hurt you, depending on which side of the play field you're on. Here's Yomentina Lawton. Diversion. Pay 1 XC to redirect an action against one of the landing party to another crew in the landing party. So someone's targeting kind of one of your weaker cards. You could pay 1 XC, assuming Yeoman Lawton is in your crew. You could pay 1 XC and redirect that challenge to someone who is better suited. There's a challenge, the Kalar. 5 combat, not too bad. Pay 1 XC to play that card. Here we go. Here's Phasers from Space. The USS Enterprise is now part of the landing party. A wild card that either you or your opponent could play. Because, like I said, there are maybe a Klingon battle cruiser is causing you a lot of trouble. You can bring in the Enterprise into your landing crew and fire phasers or photon torpedoes at it. And maybe take it out. And last one in this one, Lieutenant Charlene Masters, 2, 2, and 4. Yeah. She does have engineering though, so that keyword we saw that would come in handy with that Galileo 7 um, episode card. Here's the plot card from the cage. Icon flip with a kill result treated as neutral. That's not too bad. And you get plus 2xc. Uh, there's the mission card, Act 1 from the cage. There we've seen the city from the edge of tomorrow already. Errand of Mercy, mission card. That's the Act 1. All Klingon challenges are +2 to all ratings. So again, if you're looking to make a Klingon deck, include the battle cruiser, a couple Klingon challenges in there, and that card would definitely help you out. Whether you're playing it on, well, you would want to play that when your opponent is playing, so that your challenges get +2. So that's kind of nice. Elizabeth Denner. There, she's got the wacky eyes. I think that's isn't that from Where No One Has Gone Before, and she's got the godlike keyword there to represent what happened to her in the episode. Bilar 3, 3, and 3. +2 to all ratings if Landru is in play. So another one I was talking about, if Landru is in play, that would help with Bilar as well. There's Charlie X. That's the Act 1 card from Charlie X. All crew are +1 to humanity. That's not too bad. John, never liked that guy. When I watched this when I was a kid, I always thought he was kind of a jerk. I don't know. 4 combat, 4 humanity, and 4 logic. +1 to all ratings if the onlys challenge is in play. So if you're familiar with the episode Miri, the onlys is that group of kids that were running amok there. Plot card from Dagger of the Mind. All crew are +1 to logic. Not too bad. Wild card, the Guardian of Time. Current player must play default episode cards for the remainder of the episode. So a great way to kind of stick it to your opponent there by using that to prevent them from getting any XC. We saw that the first 2 default gave you a little bit of XC, but the third one, the discovery phase, you got no XC from it. So restricting them to just the default episode cards, not a big help. Not a big help. Here's one with that Android keyword that I was talking about. Android challenges generate no XC. That was one that, if I remember correctly, Nathan used on me when I had my Android themed deck. He used that on me. Here's a crew, Lieutenant O'Neill. Computer savvy. If any computer challenges or challenges with mind control are in play, O'Neill is +1 to all ratings. So another one I was talking about, I wanted to make a computer themed deck. He's going to come in handy. There's a Klingon landing party. Not too impressive, all 4s on there, but they do have the Klingon keyword in their effects or in their text there. So if you have the Klingon battle cruiser or some other effect card that has that Klingon, that's a good one to have. And the last one there, Yeoman Mears. Am I reading that right? Mears. Reward. If Mears survives any episode using episode cards from the Galileo 7, you gain 1 additional XC. And that's not too bad. Her skills there, 2, 2, and 3, so that's not too impressive. But again, if you have your deck set up to take advantage of that Galileo 7, she's definitely one you want to have in there. Let's get started with the next one. A plot card from Errand of Mercy. Episode cannot be abandoned. Yeah. There's Devil in the Dark. All landing party with combat ratings of 3 or less are neutralized. Yikes. Devil in the Dark there again. All crew are +1 to combat. That's not too bad. There's this side of Paradise, pretty sure we've seen there. Oh, there's Khan from Space Seed. Yes, Space Seed is in there. The Botany Bay is a challenge. Khan is a challenge. So if you're a big fan of Space Seed, that's a fun one to have out there. There's the Act 3, the Discovery card, showing tomorrow is yesterday. Draw up to your full hand after taking XC. That's a good one because by the time you get to the end of the episode, you've played challenges, you've played your effects, you've played your episode cards. Your hand can be kind of short. So drawing back up is good. Ooh, the Enemy Within. This is the plot card, Act 2. From there, no wild cards can be played for the remainder of the episode. That can be handy. Who's this guy? Lieutenant Lindstrom, 2, 4, and 4. It does have sociologist and sociology. Pay 1 XC to add 1 humanity icon to any icon draw. That's not too bad. Again, if you're gearing your deck toward humanity, that'll come in handy. Conscience of the King, that's the Act 3, the Discovery episode card. +2 if highest logic in current landing party is over 4. So if you have Spock in there, that's a guarantee. Oh, there's the Witch. She is an Enigma challenge. I was talking about Enigma. Let's bring that up there real quick. Oh, I should have had the main viewer up, but I didn't. But there's Enigma 2, 2, and 4. No keywords really, but if Witch is in play when Discovery is played, no crew neutralized in the episode may receive any XC. So that's kind of rough. Let's get the main viewer back on here. I don't know why I missed that, so you can get a little better shot at what's happening. Permanent Wild Ion Storm, 3 effects on that one, so not too bad. A current episode cannot be voluntarily abandoned. Remove 1 XC from member of the landing party, not too bad, especially if the Enterprise is part of the landing party. If you used a card to bring that in, you can take advantage of that and force a crew to make an icon flip. So you could get yourself in trouble. We've seen the Romulan Centurion. We've seen Charlene Masters. Here's a wild card from the Corbomite maneuver. Play when a crew is challenged, make an immediate icon flip. On a combat icon, your crew loses and suffers effects of that loss on anything else the crew wins. That's an interesting one. And there's the Gorn again. Let's get this, speed this up a little bit. There's a lot of great effects, a lot of great tricks and things to help you turn things in your favor. So another reason why I like this game. We've seen that one already. The Act 2 from the Corbomite maneuver. There's Act 1 from the Corbomite maneuver. All crew you control are present in the mission, so you bring everybody. There's Where No Man Has Gone Before. Again, there's that starship icon, that Enterprise icon. I see we have 3 viewers while I'm doing this. Thank you for joining me live. Please feel free to comment or ask questions. If you see a card and you want to know what the story is, we'll bring it up. We'll beam it up to the transporter room and take a closer look at it. Or if you have any questions about gameplay, we'll see if we can get that answered for you. There's Act 1 from Operation Annihilate. We've seen that one. And the Cage, we've seen that one. Now we're starting to see those duplicates show up. There's the City on the Edge of Forever. Here's Act 1, the mission card showing Dagger of the Mind. A maximum of 3 crew may be assigned to the landing party for this episode. So another one your opponent would play to kind of foil you on that one and limit you to just 3 crew. There is Act 2, the plot card from Operation Annihilate. Icon flip. Any crew with medical is at +2 to logic rating for the remainder of the episode. Interesting. There's, what does that say? Auto. I've got a couple effects there. 5 combat. That's not too bad. 4 and 2. Pay 1 XC from your power base to pay 0 if Khan is in play. So kind of another thematic one there from Space Seat. You can use him if you have Khan out on the out in play. The Khan challenge card, you can take advantage of that. There's City on the Edge of Forever. We've seen that. Here's the Neural Parasite. Nasty. That one gave me the creeps. I watched this show when I was really young. Reruns. I'm not that old, but when I watched the reruns, that one kind of kept me up at night. Kind of weird. There's a wild card. That's the Starfleet Commendation. We talked about that one. We do have someone. Here's Reptar 33 joining us. Were all of the Star Trek sets interchangeable? Not sure I understand your question there with that one. There was the base set and one expansion. Of course, those all work together, depicting different episodes and different crew members. I don't know that that answers your question, but maybe throw some clarification to me, and I can help you out. But if you're wondering if this goes with the Decipher one, it does not. This is a completely separate game from the Decipher game. There's the insane colonists again. Ensign Matthews, he's got the security keyword there, but only 4 combat. What is that? Oh, 1 humanity and 2 logic. So not definitely a red shirt there. He's living up to that. And hostile miners using the capture or negotiate. Playing them +1 to all ratings if the Orta is in play. That's another one. Oh, yes, Reptar is saying I did answer his question, so good. Glad I could clear that up. And Reptar, do you have this? Do you have this game? Probably not. You were asking me that question, so you may not be too familiar with this one. I hope I can convince you to check this one out. I don't know how long you've been watching, but I talk a little bit about how the game plays at the beginning, and then there's a couple gameplays that you can watch looking for more challengers, because this is a really fun game to play. There's Act 3, the Discovery card from Balance of Terror. All challenges with Outwit are -2 doll ratings, so you could use that if you're the current player to help you. Oh, you don't have it. You have Next Gen. So yeah, you've got the Decipher game, which I personally have not played. I have watched some gameplay, and it looks very interesting. I'm a little intimidated because the Decipher game went on for a very long time. There's the Act 3, the Discovery for Charlie X. One challenge in play is immediately discarded. XC is still awarded for that card, so at least you don't get too screwed on that one. I've seen the Decipher version played, but yeah, I was a little intimidated because there are so many cards with that. It seems like it would be tough to get into it now. Even though it's been out of print for a while, there's still the ongoing mission, that group that makes fan-made cards and keeps that going. So there's just so many cards. I wouldn't even know where to begin, to be honest with you. Mud's Women. This is the Act 3, the Discovery. All challenges with tempt are at +2. And I know that Mud's Women, that challenge has the tempt, so you could stay thematic and take advantage of that. And there's the Corbomite Maneuver, Act 3, the Discovery card. +1 XC or +2 XC if a godlike challenge was played in the episode. So another way to, if you're the challenging player, you could play that down on your on the current player's episode. And if you had played a godlike challenge earlier, you're helping yourself out. There's Where No Man Has Gone Before, Act 2, the plot there. There's another effect card. What does this guy say? +2 when used by any challenge, +3 if used by a Vulcan. So it adds +2 logic. If you are the one that played the challenge and you play this card, you get an extra 2 logic icons added to your draw. But there's a good use of the Vulcan keyword if you've got that keyword on any of your players, or the player that's currently being challenged to get an extra 3 logic. That's not too bad. Here's a wild card direct hit. Play only if the USS Enterprise is involved in the mission. The Enterprise loses 1 XC, or current player must discard one of his complement, and the complement being one of your crew. So yikes, that's a double whammy. But another great way to draw the Enterprise in when you're the challenger. You draw the Enterprise in and start attacking the Enterprise and get that alternate win. So that's pretty cool. There's Act 3, the discovery card from the enemy within. Perform an icon flip with kill result treated as neutralize result. So you do the icon flip, you only have to neutralize. You're not going to get anyone killed, but still, neutralizing means you don't get the XC. So that's a bummer. Ben Childress, not a whole lot there. He's got 5 challenge card with negotiate, combat 5, humanity 2, and logic is 6. And negotiate. Let's go to the info card. Negotiate uses humanity. So interesting challenge. I don't know why you would want to do that to yourself. Maybe I'm missing something there. Act 1, or no, I'm sorry, a wild card. Oddly familiar culture, defying all odds. This planetary civilization is similar to Earth's past. All crew humanity ratings are +2 for the remainder of the episode. Again, another great way if you're gearing your deck toward a humanity type outcome. Check it out. There's Montgomery Scott, got the engineering. Let's take a quick peek at him. 5 combat, 5 humanity, 3 logic, but he does have the engineering. We saw that keyword pop up earlier with the Galileo 7, so that would definitely help you out. The stack is getting a little big, so we'll push that to the off the play area. We'll bring back the main viewer. Finish out this booster pack. Lieutenant Esteban Rodriguez. Reward. Oh, here's another one. If Rodriguez survives any episode using any episode cards from Shore Leave, gain 1 additional XC. So another way to make a thematic deck there, using him and get an extra XC. There's a great scene from Star Trek, Scotty and the Jeffries tubes. This wild card, tinkering with the engines. The USS Enterprise is at +2 to all ratings for the remainder of the episode. So maybe you have the Enterprise out there, or your opponent has drawn the Enterprise out there, and you might be in trouble. Play this card, and that'll help you out. Check it out. There's Lazarus, challenge with Enigma or Argue, and scientist keyword there. Multiple Lazarus cards may be played in a single episode. He's only got 3, 3, and 3, so not super powerful, but if you've got, like I said, you can have up to 4 cards, so you could, in a deck, 4 of the same, so you could, maybe not powerful, but you could certainly wear down your opponent. Just keep playing those over and over again. Here is Act 1. The Squire of Gothos. All challenges are at +1 to logic rating. It's not too bad. Act 3, Discovery from Shore Leave. Any crew killed in this episode are neutralized and lose all XC. At least they don't get killed. There's the Act 3, the discovery phase for the menagerie. Captain Pike there. Too bad. Uses the telepathic keyword. All telepathic challenges are at +1 to all ratings and gain mind control action. So you can take advantage of that. That's a good card. Here's Act 2 from Miri. And Act 2 with what our little girl's made of. Again, another Android one. All Android challenges are at +2 to all ratings. There's Nurse Chapel. That's pretty cool. She's got a 4 medical, but 5 humanity. Not too bad. And she's got that medical keyword, which we saw earlier. If you had any crew member uh, with McCoy in the landing party, uh, if McCoy is in the landing party, all other crew with medical are +1 on logic and humanity. So that's Nurse Chapley can take advantage of that. There's the Muds Women card that I was talking about. Is that a 6 or a 5? Let me take a quick peek. That's a 6. So 6 humanity. So that's a good one. They use. I was talking about. They use the tempt challenge there. When Muds Women is in play, all challenge cards with befuddle action are at +1. So play Muds Women and then maybe get Mud out there or the Tribbles. They use the befuddle challenge or the befuddle action. There's Harkon. That was the one I was saying I needed an extra one for to play along with Landru to get a +2. So that's nice that I was able to get that one. Yeoman Janice Rand. Let's see, Captain's Yeoman. Dedication. If Rand is in the landing party, all bridge crew are at +2 to all ratings versus challenges with the tempt action. So a nice foil against Mud's Women. You can prevent your guys from succumbing to their Mud's Women's temptation. There is the Act 1 from the Naked Time. Players may bring an unlimited number of crew to the landing party. Not bad. There's a wild card. Beam me up, Scotty. Nice. Neutralize one crew you control. May be played to negate the effect of an action after that action is resolved. So if you lose a challenge, you can neutralize a crew to negate that challenge. So that can be helpful. You do lose a crew member on that, but who knows? Maybe the result of that challenge could be a lot worse. There's another effect card, +2 logic icons if you need them. Yeoman Teresa Ross. She has the godlike keyword there. Challengers must choose a crew with godly attraction as their initial target, if possible. Godly attraction is in the effect there. So if someone throws that challenge, like what was her name, Elizabeth, she had the godlike challenge. You could use her to absorb that damage and take that challenge instead. Magda Kovacs, she has the tempt action there, but no additional effect. Stats are kind of low too. Combat 1, as you would imagine, that's not what she was planned for. 3 humanity and 2 logic. So that's a tough one to justify. But let's move on. Sitting on the Edge of Forever, I believe we've seen Errand of Mercy. All Klingon challenges are +2, so that's a handy one to have. There's that Act 3 from Devil in the Dark. There's one, Act 2, the plot card, showing this side of paradise. All crew ratings are at -2 unless current player controls a crew with the medical ability. So handy to have Janice Rand there, or McCoy. There we go, Space Seed. I was talking about getting Khan out on the table. There's the first act from Space Seed. Only crew with combat rating of 3 or greater may be part of this episode. Yikes, that's probably one your challenger would play more so than you would use on yourself. Transporter Duplicate, that's one that I don't remember. I don't think it was in my, oh yeah, it was. Transporter Duplicate, this is the one where he's got the asterisk there. A transporter malfunction duplicates one member of the crew. So you can imagine how that would be handy, duplicate Captain Kirk. That'd be kind of funny. Lieutenant Leslie got the creepy stare there, but another true red shirt with 4 combat, 3 humanity, and 2 logic. Battle savvy, what does that say? If Leslie is in the landing party, all crew combat ratings are +1. So he does have a little bit of an advantage there. There's Act 2, the plot card from A Taste of Armageddon. Another computer keyword there. All computer challenges are +2 and brings the Enterprise in. So that's an interesting one. Here's another crewman, a Lieutenant DeSalle. He's got engineering and navigation as his keywords. We saw engineering would come in handy with that Galileo 7. 4 combat, 2 logic, or 2 humanity, 4 logic. So a little better than middle of the road, and he's got that engineering keyword, so that's nice. Wild card, Starfleet procedures. Challenging player may not play episode cards for the remainder of the episode. So that's handy. I was saying you're the challenger can play episode cards that might hurt you, take away XC, or cause you to do an icon flip, something like that. That would prevent them from playing episode cards on top of yours. There's Act 3, the discovery card from Errand of Mercy. Another Klingon one. All Klingon challenges are immediately discarded. Ouch. Here's a challenge card. I think we've seen her, Miri, so we'll just keep moving. Deflector shields at maximum. Play when 1 XC is removed from the USS Enterprise or any permanent wild to prevent that loss. So that'll help if the Enterprise has been brought in and you're not ready for it. Deflector shields be handy. Yeoman Mirrors, we've seen her, and a wildcard court martial play during crew phase. When opponent plays crew card, the crew card just played is removed from the game. They got court martialed. That sucks, but kind of funny at the same time, especially if the person's been waiting to play a crew card that's going to help them out, and they immediately get removed. That's kind of a bummer. All right, next one. Oh, we still have a lot of cards. I better get moving here. There's third act, the discovery from the man trap. I think we've seen that one. Or maybe not. All challenges with fatal allure are at +1. Yikes. There's the Act 3 from Mud's Women. All challenges with tempt are at +2. I think we've seen that. Corbomite maneuver, another godlike challenge there. +1 or +2 if godlike challenge was played in that episode. Where no man has gone before, forces an icon flip. Another one from the cage, Act 2, forces an icon flip with kill result treated as a neutralize. And there's the other part of the cage there, the first act. Plot cards may be played from the menagerie on this mission, still receive an episode bonus. Outwit or conquer. This is what's his name, Rojan. 4 combat, 2 humanity, 6 logic though. That's pretty good. And you just pay 1 XC. So I don't know. Ooh, look at that Romulan disguise. Play on crew or challenge card. Play on crew or challenge card. Is considered a Romulan for duration of the episode. So it adds the Romulan keyword. So if you're playing the Romulan bird of prey or something that helps Romulans, you can play that on one of your regular crew and add the Romulan keyword. Military officers from the 20th century, this challenge here, capture or negotiate. 2, 2, and 2, so not too intimidating, which is kind of on theme. They weren't too intimidating in the show either. An effect card, makeshift weapons, all logic now become combat. So if you're gearing your deck towards combat-related challenges or combat heavy crew, that's definitely one you want to have in there. Red Hour, a wild card. All challenges are +2 combat and -1 humanity and logic for the remainder of the episode. So again, another one you'd want to use if you were making a combat themed deck. There's the third act, the discovery card showing Return of the Archons. All computer challenges are -2. Yikes, I don't want to see that one since I'm talking about a computer-themed deck during all of this. Uh, Here's Act 2, the plot card from the Galileo 7, icon flip unless the shuttle Galileo is currently in play on any side. Now, the shuttle Galileo is one of those permanent wild cards that represents the shuttle, and you can have that on the side. So if you or the challenger has that, you can avoid that icon flip. Lieutenant, and we've seen him, and the Klingon landing party. I believe we've seen them as well. So let's keep moving. Oop. All right, more episode cards. They're from the Menagerie. We've seen that one. There's the third act from the Galileo 7. +1 XC or +2 XC if a Vulcan is present in the landing party. So that's kind of handy. There's Miri. We've seen that one. Little Girls Are Made Of. We've seen that. I believe we've seen this one. The third act from Balance of Terror. All challenges with outwit are -2. That's an interesting twist there. There's second act from Charlie X. One challenge in play is immediately discarded. XC is still awarded. I think we've seen that one. Here's a good one to have. Red alert. All crew combat ratings are at +2 if the USS Enterprise is in the landing party. So an interesting one, especially if you're forced to have the Enterprise in there, or maybe you chose to have the Enterprise there. There's Act 2 from Space Seed. Again, if you're a big fan of Khan, all challenges with Conquer are at +1, and I believe the Khan challenge does have that Conquer action. There's Act 3 from the Naked Time. Episode must be abandoned unless the landing party has crew with medical ability. There's that medical keyword coming back to help you out. There is Act 1 showing this side of Paradise. All crew cards assigned to the initial landing party must have logic rating as their highest ability. Yikes. So again, that one kind of forces you to choose a specific landing party, but if your deck is geared that way, it's going to help you out. There is the Black Knight again. Here's the Lawgivers capture ability, and they have the computer keyword. 5 combat, 5 logic, and 5 humanity and 3 logic. Interesting. Ensign, what's this? Ensign Rayburn. Again, another classic red shirt there with 4 combat, 1 humanity, and 2 logic. He does have security keyword there, though. There's an effect +2 combat. Again, a combat themed deck. That's definitely one where you want to have that in there to help you out with your icon draws. Moving along. Let's see here. Yeah, we've seen that one from Where No Man Has Gone Before in the Cage. Another one from the Cage, and another episode card from City on the Edge of Forever, and we've seen Errand of Mercy as well. A wild card cultural envoy. Let's take a look at this guy here. It was turned upside down, so I assume it's kind of rare. Bring that up. We'll beam that up to the transporter room. Play at the end of the episode. Before receiving any XC, current player may remove from the game 1 crew from his complement and add 4 XC to his power base. Whoa. Any XC on the removed crew are lost. Well, 4 is a big boost, so that's an interesting one. I don't remember seeing that one before, so I'm going to keep that one in mind for future deck building. There's the Act 2, the plot card from Return of the Archons. Here's an effect card, +2 when played on any challenge, +2 combat, +3 if played if used by a Klingon. So again, another Klingon deck that would help you out. A challenge card, Trifane. 3, 5 for humanity, 5 for logic, so not too bad, I guess. There's the Act 3 from Arena. All combat actions are resolved using humanity ratings and icons. That's interesting. Kind of flips that whole thing if you're using the combat. Claudius Marcus, I believe we've seen him before, and Where No Man Has Gone Before. Seen that one. Oh, the late great Mark Leonard there. Romulan bird of prey commander, 5 combat, 5 humanity, and 5 logic. He does have the Romulan keyword, so that can come in handy later. A permanent wild, like I was talking about earlier, new life and new civilizations, quite a few effects on there, but +1 XC to retrieve any challenge that does not require a cost from your draw pile. So if you're that could help you out, and pay 2 XC to retrieve any challenge from either your discard or your draw pile into your hand. So if you're running an aggressive deck, that's a good one to have. And there's Yeoman Smith, 2, 4, and 3. Reward, let's take a look. Oh, if Smith survives any episode using episode cards from Where No Man Has Gone Before, you get an additional XC, so that makes sense. Let's keep going here. Yep, seen more duplicates, so we're going to be going faster and faster through this here. There's Act 1 from The Cage, and Act 2 from City on the Edge of Forever. Errand of Mercy, yep, seen that. Devil in the Dark, yep. On the Side of Paradise. Oh, Talos 4, I was saying you can play that one challenge for free if Talos 4 is out. So there's an example of that, and uses the telepathic keyword. Oh, here's an interesting one. This is an effect card, the Edict. If you remember that, infinite diversity and infinite combinations. +1 of any icon, +3 of any icon if used by a Vulcan. Well, not bad, not bad. Can always plan on using Spock, but there are other Vulcan cards that you can use that on. Bring back the main viewer here. We'll keep moving. Act 1 from Taste of Armageddon. Here is a challenge, tempt challenge. Leela Kalomi. She has the scientist keyword. An acquaintance of Mr. Spock. +3 to humanity rating versus Spock. So if you play Spock and you can use the humanity, you can get a +3 on that. Not too bad. Lieutenant Latner, 3, 2, and 1. He does have the navigation keyword, which is nice. I think that helps you look for a card in your deck. And Shellcraft, if the Shellcraft Galileo is in play, all of Latimer's ratings are +1. So another reason you will want to have that permanent wild there. Oh, here's a card that has been played on me several times. The boot scene. That's a wild card. Let's bring this up because Alistair used this on me to great effect. The captain is distracted by a beautiful alien. Play only if Captain James T. Kirk is in the landing party, which I almost always had. Kirk is immediately neutralized, and player of this card gets 1 XC. You get that XC right away. And Alistair used that masterfully against me. Was always taking Kirk out of play. There's Act 2 from The Conscience of the King. +2 XC, but you do have to risk an icon flip there. Let's bring the main viewer back up. Oh, we've seen Magda before, and Yeoman Teresa Ross. We've seen her. She has that godly attraction. Here we go. A wild card distraction. The Crewer Challenge is -2 to all ratings for the current action. Play before resolving. So that's kind of nice. Prevent your opponent from drawing 2 additional cards during an icon draw. Seen that one. Balance of Terror, Charlie X, Man Trap, yep. Let's Women. Corbin Might. Yeah, we've seen that one. Here is Act 2 from Court Martial. Result in an icon flip on James T. Kirk, if available, is neutralized. An icon flip or James T. Kirk, if available, is neutralized. You don't want to do that. Wild card. What does that say? Unknown virus. Current player must make an immediate icon flip. Again, that's when you just draw the first card off of your draw pile, and whatever the icon is there determines the result of that. Usually results, I think combat means that they're neutralized or killed or something like that, and lose XC and that sort of thing. But get the starter kit and read the read the rule book, and you'll know that one. Trying to encourage you to buy that starter kit and get interested in the game here. Telosian Illusion. Add one attribute to any crew or challenge for the remainder of the episode. Attribute, you can add godlike, you can add telepathic, you can add whatever you want to help you out. Maybe even add a Klingon or Romulan if you've got the bird of prey or the battle cruiser out. Vulcan mind meld. Here's another familiar thing from the series. Move up to 2xc from any Vulcan in the landing party to another crew in the landing party. Helpful if you have a card that has XC on it and you're going to lose a challenge and lose that XC in the process. You can quickly do a mind meld and move it from that Vulcan to another crew member. And even if that Vulcan loses the challenge, you've managed to save the XC on another crew member. So that's a smart way to use that. There is the Act 2 from Shore Leave, plus 2 XC, but forces an icon flip. Here's Vina, using Enigma or Attempt. 2, 5, and 4, not too bad. Not too bad. Better than average. Samurai Warrior with an asterisk for his combat. So let's read that real quick. Take a look. Come on, beam that up, Scotty. Let's see what he says here. The samurai is a creation of the mind brought to life by alien technology. The asterisk combat rating is equal to the highest logic rating in the landing party when played. Well, handy one if Kirk is there, because Kirk has 7. But oops, we fix that real quick. But yeah, if you're planning on challenging using the attack, you're evenly matched, and you can use an effect card to give yourself the advantage. Ruth Bonaventure using the Tempt challenge, 2, 3, and a 1 with no extra effect there. Lieutenant Robert Tomlinson, 3, 2, and 2. Ship's phasers, we've seen that guy, so we'll move on. He's got that ship's phasers, pay 1 XC to increase the combat rating of the USS Enterprise by 2. So that's a handy one, especially if you're planning a lot of ship combat. Can use him. There is Act 2 from the Squire of Gullfoss. Episode cannot be abandoned voluntarily. There is Act 1 from the Squire of Gullfoss. Challenges the Art +1 to logic. Shore Leave. I don't know that we've seen Act 3, the Discovery card. Any crew killed in this episode are neutralized. I mean, we have seen that one. They're all starting to blend together, but I do know we've seen that one from the Menagerie and the Galileo 7. We've seen Miri. Lieutenant Riley, 3, 2, and 3, but he does have that navigator and engineering, so that's handy. And not as super powerful in terms of the attributes, but those keywords can definitely come in handy. There's the Telosians with a godlike keyword. The Galileo 7, we've been seeing a lot of that referenced in these boosters. There's the plot, or excuse me, the mission card, Act 1, +2 if the landing party includes at least one crew with engineering or shuttlecraft abilities. So another way to build a thematic deck. Uh, Doing that. Lieutenant, oh shoot, I should know these guys. I call myself a Trekkie. Lieutenant Painter, 3, 4, and 3, but with the navigation keyword to search your deck. Oh no, I'm I should have binge watched all the original series, so I could have known all these off the top of my head. But hopefully, if you're a Trekkie, you recognize the character. She's a 3, 3, and 4, but no extra effects. So there's Mara, 4, 6, and 2. She has the Klingon keyword. While Mara is in play, all Klingon challenges are at -1 XC cost. So that's a handy one, especially with a Klingon deck. Transporter is operational. Add 1 additional crew. This is one of the cards I was looking for, so that's nice to have. Add 1 additional crew to the landing party. So that's good, and it doesn't cost any XC. So that could really save your butt if you need to add another crew later on in your turn. There's the white rabbit I was talking about. He uses befuddle 2, 3, and then an asterisk. So let's take a quick peek at that just so we can see what the white rabbit adds to the game here. The white rabbit is a creation. Okay, we know that much. Asterisk logic rating is equal to the highest humanity rating in the landing party when played, and it costs you 1 XC. So that's an interesting one. Bring back the main viewer. And last one from this booster, Lieutenant JG Joe something or other. Joe. We're just going to call him Joe. He's a 3, 3, and 2. He's a reward if he's still in the episode at the end of the naked time. You gain 1 additional XP. So another thematic one there. Let's keep moving. Here is Act 1, the mission card from What Little Girls Are Made Of. All scientist challenges are at +2 ratings. That's an interesting one. The plot card from Balance of Terror, -1 XC. At the end of the episode, all crew are at +1 to combat rating. So a bit of a trade-off there if you can afford it, but you need that extra combat rating for any particular reason. There's the Act 1 from Balance of Terror. All Romulan challenges are +2 to all ratings. So nice if you're planning on a Romulan deck. Act 2 from the Man Trap, which causes 2 icon flips. Yikes. Galactic High Commissioner Ferris, 3, 4, and 4. Let's see, what does he do? Episode cannot be voluntarily abandoned while Ferris is in play. Here's the Act 3, the Discovery card from What Are Little Girls Made Of? And the Witch, we've seen her. Court Martial, I don't know that we've seen this because I can't hardly read it. Immediately neutralize 1 crew currently in the landing party. This is the Act 3, so this comes in later on during the discovery phase. You get +3 XC, but immediately neutralize 1 crew currently in the landing party. If this removes the last crew in the landing party, the current player receives no XC. Nice. But you can see that coming, so you wouldn't play it unless you knew you were going to benefit from it, I hope, unless your challenger plays it on top, and then you're in trouble. Commodore Stone, so 3, 6, and 5, so good for humanity and logic. Conscience of the King, that's Act 1, the mission. All members of the initial landing party must have logic or humanity rating of 4 or higher. Here's a wild card. The plays the thing. Opponent must discard a challenge card without attributes from play. Interesting. Lieutenant D'Amato, 3, 2, and 4. He does have a computer here. If D'Amato survives any episode in which a challenge with the tempt action or computer attribute was played, gain 1 additional XC. A little situational there, but you never know when that kind of thing will come in handy. A 3, 2, and 4, so kind of middle of the road as far as the abilities there. Here we go. Here's a wild card. Are you of the body? All icon flip results become convert results for remainder of the episode. That's one of the results if you make an icon flip is you convert, which means the landing party crew, you flip them upside down and they no longer get XC. And there's a couple other things that come along with that. Here we go, permanent wild, shuttlecraft Galileo. We've been talking about that one a little bit. A couple people benefit from that being in play. If you pay 1 XC, move 2 XC from your power base to the USS Enterprise. So that's a good one to protect the Enterprise if that's in your landing party. Another effect, pay 2 XC, place all XC from 1 crew in your complement who was just killed into your power base. Power base is like a common pile of experience counters that you use. And then as you play through the game, you put them on crew members or use them to pay. So instead of if a crew member is going to be killed, if there are any XC on them, you don't lose them. They just go back to your power base. So they're not completely out of loss. I do want to take that back though. Your power base, I don't believe you can use those to pay for effects. Have the rules been updated to include Starfleet maneuvers? An interesting question. I don't recall any, there wasn't an additional rule book that came with Starfleet maneuvers. I'm trying to remember, it's been a while since I've looked through Starfleet maneuvers booster packs. So I don't recall if there are any new keywords in that one. I would hope so, to add something new to make it more interesting. But they're all, of course, they're completely compatible one to the other. But an interesting question. I do have a box of Starfleet maneuver boosters, so stay tuned for that. We'll go through that and see what new keywords come out of that. But let's keep the line moving here because I'm anticipating my camera running out of power pretty soon here. So let's get through it. Charlie X. This is the Act 3. We've seen that one, and we've seen the man trap as well. Mud's Women. Yeah, seen that one, that one, that one. Oh, here's Wyatt Earp. It's kind of an interesting one. If the Meltakian challenge is in play, redraw 1 card after playing Wyatt Earp. Not too bad. 3, 3, and 3. Well, I would have thought Wyatt Earp would have higher combat than that. Here's an interesting one. Pavel Chekhov. He's got the navigation keyword of 5, 4, and 4 for his values there. A funny story about that. Yeah, there goes the camera. I think it's already starting to slow down. There was a promo card at Gen Con, and Walter Koenig, they asked Walter Koenig to help them promote this game at Gen Con in 96. And he said he would only do it if his card was better. So they made a promo card just for him that says if your card has Walter Koenig's autograph, you get a +1 to all attributes. So it's kind of a fun one to watch for on eBay. Moving along, Lieutenant Mara. Oh, I'm going to pronounce that wrong, so I'm just going to keep moving here. 2, 5, and 3, not too bad. Information specialist, as long as Romaine is in your, is that her name, Romaine? As long as Romaine is in your complement with 3 or more XC, your maximum hand size is increased by 1. So I was talking about earlier, there was the one permanent wild that adds 1 to your hand size. So there's another way to add 1 to your hand size. There is the Act 2, the plot card from Court Martial. Icon Flipper, James T. Kirk, if available, is neutralized. Photon Torpedoes, current player may remove 1 XC from the USS Enterprise to remove 2 XC from a permanent wild. So you lose 1 XC if you can afford it, but you can possibly take out a permanent wild across the way from you if a Klingon battle cruiser or Romulan bird of prey is trying to take you out. You can shoot back at them. It's another angle on this game that I like, where it's not just the people challenging people thing. You can actually kind of change it a little bit to be starship, ship to ship battles, which is kind of fun to do. I am going to quickly see if I can change these out because I am losing that camera. So we're going to switch to this guy here. We're going to change the angle. We won't have the transporter room to zero in on things, but we're running into a lot of duplicates, so I'm not too worried about that. We'll move this guy up here. There, we're up to date. So there's the photon torpedoes I was talking about. Here's Core. I used him as an example earlier, so no need to stop there. But Great Bird of the Galaxy negates any wild or permanent wild card just played. Both cards are removed from the game, so that's another valuable one to have four of. Another one that Alistair and I in our game that was broadcast quite a while ago, but is still up on the channel. We used that on each other several times. In fact, I think one of us used the Great Bird of the Galaxy to negate a Great Bird of the Galaxy. So that was kind of a funny thing. We saw John earlier, that challenge from the episode Miri, and it referenced the onlys, that he got a bonus if the onlys were in play. There's the onlys, a 3, 2, and 3. So both of those are in play at the same time. You can benefit from that. And Lieutenant Spirelli, if Lieutenant Spirelli is still in play at the end of the episode Space Seed, you gain 1 additional. There's Lieutenant Spirelli right there. I'm only like halfway through this, so I better quit yapping because we're at 2 hours now. Let's see. There's Act 3 from Shore Leave. There's Act 3 from the Menagerie. We've seen that. And Galileo 7, Miri. Yep. Probably be able to breeze through this. From What Little Girls Are Made Of, Balance of Terror. Oh, here's one that I was looking for that I talked about at the beginning of the broadcast. Lieutenant Commander Benjamin Finney. Not necessarily handy. He does have the computer keyword. If Finney is in the landing party, all challenges with computer are at -2. So I may not want him in my computer deck, but I definitely needed him for my collection. So that's nice to have there. Michael, I feel bad about your question there. I may not have understood what you were asking me, but if you want to clarify, or if I need some clarification to help you answer that question, please keep commenting, keep watching, and let me know if maybe I misunderstood what you were asking. There's The Enemy Within. We've seen that one. There's the Meltokians, 3-7 on humanity and 3 on logic with the telepathic ability. We saw a reference to that earlier. If that challenge was in play, you got a bonus. So that's what that card looks like. Return of the Archons. I know we've seen that. Elias Sandoval challenge with Arguer Enigma. But let's see, 3, 4, and 4, but no other effects. So I don't know. There's the Romulan Bird of Prey Commander again. There's Creepy Guy. And Planetary Guards. Nothing too special about that either. 4, 2, and 2. With no extra effect on there. So kind of a filler card there. Maybe not one you will want to have. Let's see what we got here. A lot of duplicates. Balance of Terror, we've seen that. Charlie X, the lady with no face, that freaked me out when I was a kid too. The Act 2 from Charlie X. There's Act 2 from the Man Trap, the plot card. Mission card from the Man Trap, we've seen that. And Mud's Women, we've seen as well. Here is a challenge Android duplicate with the Android keyword. And the Android is built to resemble one of the crew. Choose one crew currently in the landing party. Android duplicates combat and logic ratings of crew for remainder of the episode. You see the asterisk in both the combat and logic with only one humanity. So another way to copy if your opponent has a pretty powerful crew member out there, maybe they're boosted up, you can duplicate that and throw it against them. And if you have an effect card or something that's going to help you out, that's a good way to knock them out. Oh, it says, oops, it should have been updated to include Starfleet keywords. Another, a good clarification, but yeah, unfortunately, I don't have an answer for that one. But we'll look at Starfleet maneuvers in another episode, and we'll see if any keywords are different between there. I imagine they added some to that, but I don't know which ones off the top of my head. But they do use Starfleet maneuvers. Did use Android computer. All the keywords that you're seeing in the base set did carry over into Starfleet maneuvers. So you're not going to, if you use Starfleet maneuvers for most of your deck, you're not counting out any of the cards from the base set, or eliminating being able to use any of those. They mesh well together and play well together. So yeah, the Starfleet maneuvers doesn't kind of make any of these cards not useful anymore. They blend well together. In the games I've played, we've mixed base and Starfleet maneuvers, and there's never been any kind of conflict or cards that were kind of made obsolete because of Starfleet maneuvers. So hopefully that answers your question a little better. There's Muri as a challenge. There is the third act from Return of the Archons. Report to the Bridge. This is a good one here. A wild card. Remove from your deck one crew not currently in play and place it in your hand. Remove this wild card from the game after play. Well, remember, you can have 4 of any one card in there. And I see Michael, he says, yes, that did answer his question. So good. I'm glad we could clear that up for you. If you can have 4 in your deck, you can searching your deck is something that's very valuable. I've found in every collectible card game I've played. I started out with Pokemon, and a lot of access to your deck, so you didn't necessarily need to have a huge deck with a lot of cards because there were a lot of professor cards and this and that that allowed you to search your deck. So things like this card are very valuable from my perspective anyway. Captain John Christopher, a 2/2/2. Play to join a landing party before first plot card. All challenge cards gain Enigma action as long as Christopher is in play. Discard at the end of the episode. So one that your challenger would play on you, so that could start taking advantage of Enigma challenges. There is Where No Man Has Gone Before. Christine Chapel we've seen. Vincent Rodriguez we've seen. Johan Smith we've seen, and Phaser Blast +2 to combat, which is or +2 combat icons. So that's a good one to have. Again, if your challenges, that sort of thing, depend a lot on combat, that's a card you definitely have to have. So keep that one in mind. Here is Act 2, the plot card from the Menagerie. We've seen that. The mission one from Menagerie, have we seen that? Play cards, plot cards may be played from the cage on this mission and still receive an episode bonus. So I think I talked about that one earlier, but didn't really, or we saw that one earlier, but didn't really talk about it. Since the Menagerie and the cage, as you may remember, borrowed scenes from from each other. One was the pilot episode that didn't quite sell the networks, so they rewrote it and rewrote the pilot and just kind of put that one to the side. Later on, they called back to it, bringing Christopher Pike, and used scenes from that. Nowadays, you can see the original plot or the original pilot on its own, and it stands on its own, in my opinion. I think it's pretty good. I think the gripe from executives was it was too cerebral, that most people wouldn't catch on or would lose interest. Wasn't enough action, and Star Trek was billed as Wagon Train to the Stars. It was supposed to be a Western in space, so they were probably expecting a little more shoot 'em up action. But anyway, moving along, we've seen that one, the Act 3 from Operation Annihilate. Here's the Act 1, the plot or mission card from Miri. All challenges with Enigma are +1 to all ratings. What are little girls made of? All scientist challenges are +2 to all ratings. That's the mission, Act 1, for that particular episode. Balance of Terror, I'm pretty sure we've seen that. All crew are at +1 to combat rating. Yeah, the Act 2, the plot card from Balance of Terror. Again, another good one with Romulans. If you're looking to boost up your people. There's Creepy Guy again. We can pass that one by. A Taste of Armageddon, the plot card from A Taste of Armageddon, the computer keyword. All computer challenges are +2. So that's one that I want to keep in mind. There's that Romulan disguise again. Adds Romulan keyword to any crew member. Landru, we've seen that one. There's the discovery card from Errand of Mercy. All Klingon challenges are immediately discarded and generate no XC. Another one I like making Klingon decks, so not one that I want to see necessarily, unless I'm going to try to go against what I usually do. There, we've seen that one. Ruck, I don't know if we've seen that guy yet. 6 combat, 2 humanity, 2 logic. Does have the android keyword. But let's see, creative, yeah, costs 1 XC to play and no real effect. And you would have to have another card, a wild or something, that took advantage of the android keyword. But a 6 combat, not bad to start with. And Lazarus, we've seen before. An interesting idea that you can have as many Lazarus in play at any one time. I'm gonna have to keep that one in mind. It'd be kind of funny to have 4 Lazarus out at the same time and see how I could take advantage of that. But, moving along, Devil in the Dark. We've seen that one, Act 3. Act 2, the plot card from This Side of Paradise, and there's that Space Seed again. Here we go. Have we seen Tomorrow is Yesterday, the Act 1, the mission card? Nothing really to that one, but it does have the Enterprise icon to bring the USS Enterprise into the landing party, and 2XC, but those are the only 2 effects that come with it. The Alternative Factor, have we seen that one? It looks familiar. +2XC play. Player may bring an unlimited number of crew on the landing party. I think we have seen that one. Totally boost up your crew. That's pretty cool. That is the Act 1, the mission card from the Alternative Factor. There is the mission card from Arena, first act. +1, or excuse me, -1 XC. All crew and challenges are at +1 in to combat rating. So another Other one you want to consider if you're going to run a combat deck, you do help out your opponent as well. So something to keep in mind if you're going to play that one. Act 1, the mission card from the City on the Edge of Forever. Yeah, we saw that one at the very beginning. I was using that as an example. Standard procedures. Challenging player, a wild card challenging player may not play episode cards for the remainder of the episode. I think we've seen that one. I just just read it over again, but it's a good way to protect yourself from the challenger playing episode cards that are gonna hurt you. Phaser rifle fire, +1 to a combat. Again, another combat one that'll help you out. +1 combat icon, but +3. Again, this is a tough one to read. When +3 when used with an attack action. So if you're the challenger and attack is the particular action that you're using to challenge the current player, that would get you +3. So that's a good one. That's a good one. There's the enemy within. We've seen that one. Lieutenant Lindstrom. With sociology, I thought that said Scientology for a second. I was like, well, that's pretty interesting that would survive that long. But sociology, play 1, pay 1 XC to add 1 humanity icon to any icon draw. That's an interesting one. 2 combat, 4 humanity, and 4 logic. So another kind of middle of the road. But if I've been talking a lot about combat themed decks. If you're doing a humanity themed deck, that one's going to help you out. Operation Annihilate, we've seen that one already, the Act 2. Here's a wild card personal challenge. You can see Kirk and the Gorn there. Current action is resolved using combat ratings and icons. Play before resolving the action. So again, you can kind of see a theme here. A lot of combat themed effects here that you can make a real powerful combat themed deck here with some of these that we're pulling. And then the last one here, a challenge, Alien Savages. There's from the Galileo 7 episode. Natives of Taurus 2, these gigantic humanoids attacked the shuttlecraft Galileo. So no additional effect to that, but 4, 3, and 2 for the challenge. So that's an interesting one, I guess. I don't know, not as powerful as I would like to have in my deck, but who knows? Maybe someone there has seen something that I don't, or there's a combo that I'm not putting together in my head. Feel free to put that comment in there. I'd love to hear that, since I'm planning on playing a lot of this game coming up. There is the mission card from Space Seed. We've seen that. In fact, a lot of these cards, I'm kind of flipping through it real quick, and a lot of these look very familiar. So we'll just zip through these without even bothering to call them out. Yeah, seen the Black Knight, sure. Conscience of the King, yep, seen that. Transporter fully energized, the one that I was looking for. So I'm glad to get a second copy of that one. That's cool. Here we go with that one. And makeshift weapons, we've seen that all. That's an interesting one. All logic icons are now combat icons. So that's pretty cool. This side of Paradise, we've seen that. Here we go. Ensign Matthews has the security keyword, no other effects, but security can come in handy. He's got 4 combat, 1 humanity, and 2 logic. So again, another classic red shirt there. There's Ruth Bonaventure. I'm pretty sure we've seen her 2, 3, and 1 with the tempt action, and we've seen a few cards that take advantage of that tempt action. So even though her values there aren't real high, you can possibly use her in a different way to help boost up another card. Just the fact that the tempt action is out on the table might help out. Here's Hypospray, a wild card that I don't think we've seen play. After icon flip to reduce effects of that draw, kill result becomes neutralized. Neutralized becomes no effect. So that's helpful because we've seen quite a few of these episode cards call kind of force an icon flip on you. So that's a good one to have handy. Oh, come on now, we're getting toward the bottom, and the glue on these foil cards is getting sturdy. Here we go. All right, this side of Paradise, we've seen that. The Discovery card, Act 3. There's Space Seed again, with Khan there featured. Seeing this card kind of makes me wish this game had just kept going and they'd made it all the way to the movies. So cool to have these cards show Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. That would be really cool. Who knows? Maybe we will generate a big enough community that we start making our own fan-made cards. I'd be interested if you're into this game, or maybe I've got you interested. Maybe you're thinking the same thing. Wouldn't it be great if you could have V'ger as a challenge, or with the computer keyword, or jumping all the way to the next generation and having data with keyword Android or something like that. So cool. But yeah, Wrath of Khan had had the Reliant, which is a personal favorite of mine, or jumping ahead to Star Trek 3 with the Excelsior. That's another favorite ship of mine. So that would be kind of neat to see those cards, and maybe if we get enough of a fan base out there, we could start making our own cards. But I digress. Let's get back to the boosters here. Here's the third act, Discovery from the alternative factor. Plus 2xc and forces an icon flip, so another one you want to have the Hypospray for. Here's the plot card, the second act from Arena. I don't know that we've seen this one. Plus 2xc and the effect all crew in the landing party with combat rating of 4 or below are neutralized. Yikes. Definitely one the Challenger would play on you. That's a rough one. Here's a wild card. This one was upside down, and I don't think we've seen this one. Edge of the Galaxy. Play as a challenge card. Choose one crew in the landing party. I beg your pardon. Choose one crew in the landing party. Chosen crew doubles all ratings but loses all abilities and becomes a challenge with the outwit action. If challenge is defeated, then chosen crew is neutralized and loses no XC. I'm going to read that one again. That was kind of wordy. Play as a challenge card. Choose one crew in the landing party. Chosen crew doubles all ratings but loses all abilities and becomes a challenge card with the outwit action. If challenge is defeated, then chosen crew is neutralized and loses no XC. That's an interesting one. I'm going to have to think about that, see how I could possibly use that against my opponent. I do like the fact that you duplicate someone and they're doubled, which again, picking someone who's got some pretty high attributes, like Kirk with his 7 combat. Can you imagine a challenge with 14 combat? That would be crazy. That's a pretty high one. So I can see how that would be pretty devastating if you're able to play it right. There is the Discovery card from A Taste of Armageddon. I know we've seen that, and we've seen Bilar before. Charlie X, that's the Act 1, first act, the mission card from Charlie X. All crew are at +1 to humanity rating. So another one if you're going for a humanity deck, a deck that takes advantage of that. So that's a good one to have. Again, and I explained this earlier, but if you're just joining, all of these cards, you'll notice that there's mission, plot, and discovery for each episode that they featured in these cards. Uh, and they don't necessarily have to be played together to make a complete episode. All the cards don't have to be from the same episode. They can be mixed and matched. Of course, they're going to be changed when your opponent plays an episode card on top or something like that. But there is an XC bonus if you manage to get through all 3 acts from the same episode. So there's motivation to try to do that, especially like Space Seed if you're a con fanatic, or Charlie X, or whichever episode happens to be your favorite. You can make an attempt to play all the way through. We saw with City on the Edge of Forever that this doesn't always play to your advantage. The first 2, the mission and plot cards were +2 XC, but then the discovery was -2 XC. So it doesn't always play to your advantage to do all 3 episodes, and you don't have to. You can mix and match and just kind of, they say in the instruction booklet, to make your own episode kind of, and see how you can play them together, or play, mix and match those cards to get the different bonuses and have them play off each other. Just a little reminder there. Again, a little deck building tip. You don't have to match all the episodes or have all the same episodes together. Build your episodes to the best of your advantage, taking advantage of keywords and bonuses. And who knows, maybe the City the Edge of Forever, you have that in your deck specifically to play it on the current player if you're the challenger. But you can afford to lose 2 XC if you've got the other 2 ahead of it, and you're going to get 4, and maybe you won a challenge, you're going to get an additional XC. You can afford to lose 2, but play all 3 in a row and get that bonus. So has things to think about, different ways to play the cards to make a deck building challenging but fun. Challenging in a fun way to see how everything plays. Direct hit, we've seen that one. Good if you're bringing the Enterprise in. Here's one we haven't seen, Dr. Mark Piper. I don't remember that guy. He must be from that Lost Pilot episode that I need to go back and rewatch. 6 on humanity, 5 on logic. Chief medical officer. He does have that medical keyword, which we've seen a couple different times. Whether you have McCoy in your landing party or any others, and medical does get you a particular bonus. I'll try to remember what that is. His effect, old-fashioned advice. Pay 1 XC to add 1 humanity icon to any icon draw. Remember, icon draw is how you resolve those challenges. So an extra 1 is always handy. I'm probably not going to find that those keywords right away, so I'm not going to waste any more time since I've already been on for 2.5 hours. But I was hoping I could see that. Here's crew abilities, medical. Let's see if I can read this. And I say that because in the 90s, when collectible card games were coming out, this was a staple. The starter decks were about this exact same size as the cards, so they had to jam rule books into these tiny little things and these tiny little prints. And there's a lot in this rule book, maybe a little bit redundant if we were to look at it again now, knowing now, if we knew then what we know now, we could probably make it a little less wordy, but you can see it's, you really got to zoom in there, but let's see if that's going to help me out. Medical, pay 1 XC from a crew card with the medical ability to reduce the effect of an icon flip from kill to neutralize or from neutralize to no effect. So we did see cards that do that, but now we've seen that the medical ability can do that as long as you have an XC on that crew member to pay for it. So pretty handy, and maybe after we're done going through these cards, we'll kind of look back through those and see how they might help. But we've seen auto before to play off of con and that sort of thing. Let's see this guy, Dr. Brown, 3, 2, and 5 for logic, so that's pretty good. Dr. Brown is an Android scientist, so 2 keywords kind of put together there. Uh, uh, Pay 1xc from your power base, so that's not too bad, I guess. If you're taking advantage of the Android or scientist keywords, that could come in handy. Here's one we haven't seen. I'm going to bring this up close. Yeoman Karen Green, 2, 4, and 2, Ship's Materials Officer. Let's see what her effect says. If Green survives any episode in which only the default mission, plot, and discovery cards were played, gain 2 additional XP. Interesting. Yeah, that's kind of a cool effect to have in your back pocket if you find yourself stymied there. Here's the Andorians, another capture action from that challenge, 4, 3, and 3, but no additional effect there. So limited use. But again, we've seen plenty of cards that can change those values and draw more. All right, here's another one we can go through pretty quick. There's Operation Annihilate and the Cage. Another one from City on the Edge of Forever. Errand of Mercy, the plot card from Errand of Mercy. Episode cannot be abandoned voluntarily. Here is the plot card from The Devil in the Dark. +1 XC, all landing party members with combat ratings of 3 or less are neutralized. We have seen that one before. And there is the mission card, Act 1 for Devil in the Dark. All crew are +1 to combat. Kind of plays off of that a little bit. Current player, let's see. Let's read the whole thing, shall we? All landing party members with combat ratings of 3 or less are neutralized unless current player controls a crew with engineering. And we saw Scotty earlier with that engineering. We saw a couple red shirts with engineering as well. So I was kind of bad mouthing them when they only have 4 combat and 2 and 1 for humanity and logic. But with the engineering, that can help you out. And on that note, let's see if we can find the engineering ability and see what that adds to that, along with maybe saving your bacon a little bit. Engineering, pay 1 XC from a crew card with the engineering ability to prevent the loss of 1 XC from the USS Enterprise. That's pretty cool. So again, if you're planning a deck that focuses on ship combat, engineering crew is definitely going to help you out. Here's Beam Me Up, Scotty. We've seen that one. Elias Sandoval, we've seen that one. There's Magatu again. Always reminds me of the Saturday Night Live skit where William Shatner was the guest host, and I'll leave it at that. He was at was at a Star Trek convention, and all the people were asking him all these just wacky Star Trek trivia questions, and he had no idea. And Shatner actually got angry with the crowd and started yelling at them. And the convention organizer convinced him to go back up and say, "Oh, that was just a depiction of the evil Captain Kirk from The Enemy Within." And one of the jokes there was that one of the additional guests was James Doohan, and or not James Doohan, but James Doohan's ex-wife, and said she had a lot of stories to tell, that he was like living with a Mugatu. So whenever I see the Mugatu card, it always reminds me of that Saturday Night Live skit. And you should definitely, I'm not doing it justice by any means, you should definitely look that up. However you can find that episode and find that clip, because that whole episode is pretty funny. But again, a lot of talk. Let's see the cards. The Enemy Within, there's the Discovery card, and Ben Childress, we've seen him. Yeoman Rand, we've seen her as well. Decius, another Romulan keyword, pay 1 XC from your power base. So no additional effect, but he does have 6 for his combat, which is good, and then 2 for humanity, which isn't a surprise, and then 3 for logic. But 6 combat, and then if you have the Romulan bird of prey out there, you get an extra 1. So you're up there with Captain Kirk with the 7 for combat. Here's Capellians with the capture action. What do they have there? 5, 2, and 2. So another kind of middle of the road. They don't have an extra effect on there. So here's Lieutenant Commander Jado. Oh man, let's bring it up. Jado, 4, 2, and 2 with security. Another red shirt that I would have made fun of a few minutes ago, but let's see what that security keyword will bring for us. If I can find, I need to just earmark that page so I can find it quicker. But it's kind of toward the back here, so we'll just start from that direction. Lots of credits. And effect cards. Come on, little buddy. Let's find this. I can see losing viewers as I sit here with dead air, but this is kind of an interesting thing to find out what these keywords, these printed keywords do. More so than the green ones that we've seen with Romulan and Android and computer. Some of these guys have printed keywords. Here we go. And I'm just going to do this so I don't have to keep finding this over and over again. So security, how does security help us? Crew cards with the security ability may be discarded to prevent the death of another crew card in the landing party. The original crew card is unaffected, and the crew card with security ability is discarded instead. And it continues here. Any XC on the crew card with security are lost and returned to the ship's stores, which wouldn't surprise me really with that, but a true red shirt ability with that security. So I'm glad we looked that up because kind of adds a little flavor to those red shirts that I've been making fun of this whole time. Kind of a funny twist. The way they made some of these things thematic is really good. They really put a lot of thought into this game, which is again a shame that it didn't last longer. We've seen that one from the Man Trap, and we've seen Mud's Women and the Corbomite Maneuver. We're going to zip through this pretty quick here. Oop. Where no man has gone before. Yeah, here's one we haven't seen, Transporter Technician Wilson. Has that engineering keyword, which we found out is good. Prevents, if you take advantage of that engineering keyword there, prevents the loss of 1 XC from the Enterprise. So again, ship combat, that'll help you out a lot. And what's his extra ability here? Reinforcements. Pay 1 XC to add 1 crew to the landing party from your complement. Not too bad. 2, 2, and 2. So the in terms of answering a challenge, probably not your best guy, but both those effects together make him a valuable part of your crew complement, if anything. There's Wyatt Earp again. Chekhov, we've seen that. We've seen the enemy within there. Here's a wild card we haven't seen yet. A miraculous recovery. A crew that has been killed this episode is returned to play immediately without any loss of XC. So a nice healing card there to get a crew member back in case you lose one. Again, you know, if getting a crew member killed from a random icon flip is disheartening. So definitely want 4 of these in there, just in case you end up losing someone. Nice healing card. Fun episode too. The Naked Time, Act 1, we've seen this, I'm pretty sure. Player may bring an unlimited number of crew to the landing party. Yep. Don Juan, 3, 4, and 3. So middle of the road as far as those as far as those abilities go, but let's see, what else does he do? +1 to combat rating if a challenge with Enigma is in play. So um, a lot of those cards, the Rabbit, Alice in Wonderland, Dark Knight, Enigma type challenges, they all play off each other. So it's kind of a neat, going back to what I was saying about how these cards stay on theme. It's kind of neat. Here's a wild card, Communicators Jammed. The current episode cannot be abandoned uh, voluntarily. So we've seen that effect on a couple of things. Here we go, Lieutenant Commander Kelowitz. Lieutenant Commander Kelowitz, 3, 2, and 2, but he does have that security on there. So even though he's got a blue shirt, he could come in handy to take the damage that would normally go to another more valuable crew member. He'll take that. He'll take that instead for you. So that's a good keyword to keep an eye on when you're to keep an eye out for when you're building your decks. Bounce of Terror, we've seen that one as well. No Face Lady, Man Trap. Oh, here we go. Turnabout Intruder, wildcard, Turnabout Intruder. Switch all XC between 2 crew you control. This is one I was talking about, where if one of your crew members is going to get killed, maybe you don't have one of those cards that'll bring them back or anything like that. You're looking at losing all the XC that's sitting on them, the experience counters that's sitting on them. Use that Turnabout Intruder to move along with the Mind Meld to prevent yourself from losing that XC. You may lose the crew member, but you keep the XC. And remember, getting 25 XC is one of the ways to win the game. So it's important once you get that XC to hold on to it as best you can. You will be using it to pay for certain effects throughout the game. So any XC you get, you definitely want to hold on to. Here is Bele, the 5, 4, and 3. Not too bad, I guess. Capture or argue action. Oh, there's another red alert. That's a good one. Helps with the Enterprise. Space Seed. We've seen that one. There's Act 1 from A Taste of Armageddon. I'm sure we've seen that. Wildcard Shuttle Crew Revolt. Another one from the Galileo 7. 2 crew in the landing party are immediately neutralized. In addition, all crew with the reward ability lose that ability. So we've seen 1 or 2 crew members that said if the reward is if that crew member survives through all 3 acts, the mission, the plot, and the discovery part of your episode, and Galileo 7 was one of those episode cards. You get an extra XC. This one neutralizes that. So another one that your challenger would definitely want to have handy. There's Sulu again, and he's got the helm. And now that we're looking these up, let's just find that one. Pay 1 XC from a crew card with the helm ability to draw 2 cards up to your hand's full size. I was saying earlier, drawing more cards is always a good thing. Keeps them from disappearing when you're doing those icon flips and challenge icon draws. Here we've seen him already. Telluride, no extra effect there, but and a 3/2/3 with Befuddle or Argue. So I don't know. And the Samurai Warrior again. Ooh, we still have 8 of these left, so I'm going to keep going. We're on 3 hours. If you've been with me the whole time, I love you. I really appreciate it. If you've been listening to me talk this whole time, I hope you've learned about all these cards, and hopefully you've caught the bug to get to play this game and get these cards just like I did. They're still really cheap out there on the various auction sites. You can get into it pretty quickly, and definitely watch the gameplay that we've done on the channel here, so you can see the game in action and really get. You can listen to me talk for this whole time, but to see the game in action and see the keywords working and the cards interacting is a lot of fun. If you're a Star Trek fan and you like playing CCGs, you're definitely going to enjoy this game. So surely I believe we've seen this one from the Menagerie. All captain challenges are at +1 to all ratings. So there's that captain keyword. I didn't see a whole lot of that one in this set. So that's nice to see that out there. The Menagerie, Operation Annihilate. Here's Miri, what our logo is made of. We've seen that. We've seen Core, Return of the Archons. Yep. Lieutenant Commander Gary Mitchell, 5, 4, and 3. Friend of Kirk. Kirk spends 0 XC to intercede for Mitchell. So if he's on your crew, and we talked about Captain Kirk's, I wish I had my transporter room still, but Captain Kirk can pay 1 XC to make Kirk the target of an action. So if there's a challenge coming, you can use Kirk. You can pay 1 XC off of this card to have Kirk answer that challenge instead. And if you have Lieutenant Commander Gary Mitchell in there and he gets the challenge, and you have Kirk in your landing party as well, you can take advantage of that intercede without having to pay any XC. That's pretty cool. So that's an interesting card to have handy as well. We've seen her. Have we seen Lieutenant Latimer? I don't know that we have. Navigation. Let's look at that real quick. He's a 3, 2, and 1 with navigation, and he's got that shuttlecraft keyword. So this is sounding more and more familiar as I read through it here. But let's see what the navigation is. Pay 1 XC from a crew card with the navigation ability to search through your draw pile to find a plot or discovery card. Show that card to your opponent and add that card to your hand. Reshuffle the draw pile. So if you've got particular episode cards you're looking for, that navigation ability is definitely going to help you out. So an interesting keyword there. And he's got that shuttlecraft. If the Galileo is in play, all of Latimer's ratings are at +1. So that helps a little bit. I think I would mostly use him for that navigation keyword and just kind of keep him in the complement, maybe not take him on the landing party. But who knows? There we've seen Court Martial. That's the plot card for that one. And I believe we've seen Colonel Green, maybe not. The infamous Colonel Green was a genocidal military leader of the 21st century. While Green is in play, all challenges with the Conquer action are at -1 XC cost. Interesting. So a challenge with that Conquer ability might cost you an XC if he's already out on the field in the play area. It costs 1 less, could potentially get your challenge for free. Not too bad. You do have to pay 1 to get him out there. What does he have? 6 for combat, 3 humanity, 4 logic. Not too bad. Big on combat. That's good. Here's one we have not seen, a wild card. Lay in a new course. Target player must discard current hand and redraw a number of cards equal to those discarded. If you know what your maybe someone used that navigation keyword to get a plot card, to get one of those episode cards. They do have to show it to you so you know it's in there, and you want to kind of foil them. You could do lay in a new course and force them to discard that hand. So that's a bit of a dirty trick, but kind of funny to kind of foil your opponent's plans. And there's Trelane again. We saw him quite a while ago. Let's keep going here. Let's keep going. Come on. There we go. Good foil, good foil. Good glue. All right. Yeah, we're going to zip through this one too. We've seen these, all these episode cards. See a ton of episode cards in these boosters, but they are what drives the game along with the crew. So if you're thinking, man, what's up with all these episode cards? You really need them to get through here, and need a big variety too. So it's good to see all these. Here's a wild card we haven't seen: Decisive Action. One crew card may use an ability that requires the spending of an XC without spending an XC. So we've just been looking up um, these abilities with navigation, helm, security. Normally you have to pay an XC off of your card. That's a good one. Another one you probably want to have 4 of, especially I was saying using that one card that I said I would never put in. I wouldn't want to put in my landing party because his value was 2, 2, and 2. But he had engineering and one other, both of which cost an XC. That doubles his value as far as gameplay. So that's a good one to have 4 of, so you can take advantage of all those abilities and not have them cost you anything. Who's this fine gentleman? A lieutenant? Come on, Lee Kelso. 2, 3, and 4. Helm though, so that's another one that you can use that keyword to help you out. Tomorrow is yesterday. We've seen that. Klingon Warrior, I believe we've seen that. It's got the Klingon keyword and 4, 2, and 2 for his abilities. So interesting there. Dagger of the Mind. That's the Act 1. Here's your photon torpedoes. Current player may remove 1 XC from the Enterprise to remove 2 from the permanent wildcard. We saw that earlier. If a Romulan bird of prey or that Klingon battlecruiser is bugging you, you can start removing XC off of that card and maybe take it out of play. Here's an effect we haven't seen: a Slug of Saurian Brandy, +1 to your logic draw, or +3 when used with a ability that I cannot read, a befuddle action. So if you're the challenger and you're using a befuddle, you can add 3 more logic. That's good. 3 logic is a lot. Would definitely turn the tide on an icon draw. There's Alice in Wonderland again. We've seen her and the White Rabbit. Let's move on. Thank you again. If you've been here through this whole thing, we're just approaching the 3-hour mark. There's a couple YouTube channels that I watch where it's kind of their trademark, where they go through movies or TV shows and they spend 3, 4, 5, 6 hours plus critiquing them, and that's kind of their shtick. And maybe these booster openings that'll be my gimmick as well. That I spend just way too much time going through these, but again, a great game. And I hope I'm doing it justice, and I hope I've convinced someone out there who maybe hasn't heard of this game or maybe saw it and didn't really think too much about it. Hopefully I've convinced you to invest in it and play the game. It's a lot of fun. Here we've seen all of these. I'm not even going to call them out because I know we've seen them. So we'll just keep moving. Oh, here we go. Edith Keeler. Another one if you're looking to play a theme deck there. Edith Keeler, she's a 1/1/1. Yikes. Played to join the landing party before the first before the first plot card. So you play that before you get to the second act there. If Keeler is converted, killed, or neutralized while in the landing party, all other crew killed in this episode are neutralized and lose all XC. Discard at the end of the episode. So if she's in there, again, that's probably another one. If I were the challenger, I would play that to kind of set up the current player to probably lose a lot of their crew. She seems like she's an easy target with just all ones there. So a great way to kind of play a dirty trick on the current player and seed that into his landing party, seed that into their landing party, and then immediately challenge it. And for the rest of the episode, anyone that you kill, it's kind of a double whammy on there. So interesting card. Um, if at first look you see the 1/1/1, you're like, why? What is this? But it's one of those ones that's a twist that your opponent would play on you. A good conspiracy card if you're an X-Files CCG fan and you can relate to that. Here's Dagger of the Mind. That's the Discovery Act 3 for that particular episode. Get to XC, all neutralize results for the remainder of episode become convert results. Those are the results of those challenges that we talked about. We didn't really go into the consequences of those. I've already gone into the weeds quite a bit as far as gameplay, so I would encourage you to probably open your wallet and spend the $5 or $6 to get the starter card and see the instruction book and learn a little bit more about some of the things that maybe I didn't touch on. But it's definitely money well spent. If you get that and you're having trouble finding someone to play, reach out to me. I'll play you. I'll play you on camera. I'll play you off camera. But it's a fun game. So definitely. Lieutenant DePaul. Who's this dude? 3, 2, and 3. But he's got that helm keyword there, and I'm going to refresh my memory because I've already forgotten. What does helm do? Draw 2 cards. Yeah, that's a winner. Draw 2 cards is definitely worth it. Again, one you could probably keep in your complement and just take advantage of that keyword. Song of the Vulcan Harp, another effect. We haven't seen too many effect cards. And I say that, and then the very next card in this booster is an effect card. But what do we have here? This is a humanity. We've seen combat. We've seen logic cards, effect cards that change those. This one affects humanity, +1 humanity, or +3 when used with a tempt action. So again, if you're a challenger using a tempt challenge, pull that one out, and so you get an additional 3 humanity icons in your icon draw. So that's a good one. Here's another effect. This is just a general one though, just +2 humanity. There's no other parameters around there. So you just get the 2 humanity out of that icon draw, which is good, valuable if you're looking for that. We've seen this guy, plot act, second act from Mud's Women. Have we seen that? +2 XC, all challenges with negotiate are +1 to all ratings. I think that's a new one for us tonight on this booster opening. So good that I'm kind of filling those holes there. But there's Captain John Christopher. We've seen that one already. Here's one I don't think we've seen. Ensign Angela Martine. 2, 2, and 2. A phaser control officer. Ship's phasers. I like it already. Pay 1 XC to increase the combat rating of the USS Enterprise by 2 for the remainder of the episode. So again, another valuable one if you're planning on a lot of ship combat, which I plan on doing. Who's this guy? Lieutenant Larry? Lieutenant Lang. I like Lieutenant Larry better, but Lieutenant Lang. 3, 3, and 1. Security officer. He's got that security, so he can take the damage from a challenge instead of the character who was originally targeted. That's a good one to have. I noticed on this card while I'm opening the foil, you can see the screen capture not as clear as you would like, especially on his uniform. There's a episode of a podcast called The Booster Pack where they interviewed one of the designers here, and he was saying that even though they got the license before anyone else, they had a really great game. They didn't get a whole lot of love from Paramount and whoever was owning the license then, and the screen captures that they got were not of the highest quality, and they just had to do whatever they could because they needed characters. Some of the screen grabs weren't as good as they would have liked, and then to be able to have more crew, they sometimes had to zoom in on someone who was in the background, and so the quality of that zoom wasn't what it is these days. So some of these cards, you may look at me like, "What a terrible screen grab." Well, it's not for lack of trying. They did their best with what they had at the time. But if you can get over that, you're good to go. So let's keep going here. There's Arena. Square Gothos, we've seen that one. We've seen this. Yep. 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 Oh, you can. Well, I was going to say you can never have too many of these, but you can only have 4 in your deck. But there's a Romulan Bird of Prey. I love that card. And I don't know that we've seen it yet, so I'm going to bring it up close here and we'll give it a quick read here. Permanent Wild, of course, it's got the Romulan keyword. All Romulans are +1 to combat rating if the Bird of Prey is in play. Pay 1 XC to remove 1 XC from any permanent wild card. Pay 1 XC to remove 1 XC from the Enterprise if it's in the landing party. So again, more ship-to-ship combat there. Pay 2 XC to remove from your deck remove from your deck a Romulan challenge and place it in your hand. So a lot like the Klingon battle cruiser, but fun to do that ship combat. I imagine there could have been a lot more. There are other cards in the Starfleet maneuvers boosters that are like the USS Lexington and the Constellation that can join the Enterprise and can act as a bullet sponge for the Enterprise. So if someone is attacking the Enterprise, say in this case, using that effect, you can use those ships to kind of take that damage. So you can have, the Enterprise and 2 other ships kind of have your own little fleet there, battling it out with the Romulan Bird of Prey or the Klingon battle cruiser or both at the same time. But kind of neat that you can build that together and with the Starfleet maneuvers boosters, and we'll be looking at those in a separate episode. Naked Time, I know we've seen that one. This one, here's the Orta. I don't think we've seen this challenge yet. Uses attack. It's what does that say? 4, 4, and 4. So it's 4s all the way around, and no additional effect there. So again, kind of a middle of the road effect there. Here is the plot card from the alternative factor. Again, there's that Enterprise logo, so you can either use that for yourself to bring the Enterprise into the landing party, or your challenger could play that episode card onto your plot card and bring it in and maybe start attacking it one way or the other. So here is Lieutenant Alden, 3, 4, and 3, communications officer. Let's see here. Summon to the bridge. Pay 1 XC to remove from your deck 1 crew card not currently in play and place it in your hand. Kind of goes along with the card we saw earlier. What was that? Report to the bridge. Great way to get access to your deck to get more valuable crew cards. So if you draw him, and you can use that ability to start bringing more crew into play, crew that might be a little more helpful in some of the challenges and in your landing party. Omicron Ceti's spores, a wild card we haven't seen yet. Landing party is affected by plant spores, which make them happy, very, very happy. All attributes of landing party are lost for the remainder of the episode. We haven't seen this tonight in the booster openings, but I do have PTSD from Alistair playing that on me a couple different times when we played a game together. Losing all of your attributes is bad news. Put me in a bad position. I don't know that we've seen this, the Corbomite maneuver, this wild card that you can play. Play when a crew is challenged. Make an immediate icon flip. Again, that's when you just draw the first card and see what the icon is. If it's an icon, combat icon, your crew loses and suffers effects of that loss. On anything else, the crew wins. So, kind of a way to go, kind of double or nothing on an icon draw or an icon flip. There's the Gorn Captain. We've seen him. I think I'd remember this name if I had to read it. Dr. Simon Van Gelder, 2, 2, and 5 logic. Not too bad. Flavor text there that doesn't really help us, and you have to pay 1xc, but 5 logic could come in handy. Could come in handy, maybe. 6 boosters left, ladies and gentlemen, for those who are counting and wondering just how long I can do this without taking a drink of water. Let's see what we can do here. Hopefully there's a lot of duplicates. Yeah, we've seen these, seen this. Cards are kind of sticking together. Here we go. Yep, Squire Gothos. We've seen that one. This one's upside down. If we've seen it, not tonight. Acronium Cloud Creature, 5 attack, 1 and 3. Ambush or outwit for its challenges. That's interesting. Some flavor text there, but doesn't really help out. Pay 1xc. So interesting. Oh, look at this. It must be my birthday. Another Romulan Bird of Prey. Great. I needed that to boost up my deck. My deck building. There's an Orta again. Here we go. I was talking about Space Seed and those episode cards. Here is Khan Nguyen Singh as a challenge card. Capture, outwit, or conquer. That's thematic with the show. 6 combat, you bet. 5 humanity and 6 logic. That's a powerful card, and you only have to pay 1xc, so not too bad. Some of these challenges are free, some cost 1xc. This one is definitely worth it. The flavor text here doesn't give an extra ability, but Khan Nguyen Singh is leader of a group of superhuman rebels and a brilliant tactician. Great card to have. I'm actually glad I didn't have that in my cards that I was looking for, but I'm glad I found it. I don't know how many I have in my collection for that one. It didn't turn up when I was looking through my checklist to see what I needed, so I probably have a couple of them already, but that could be a fun deck with Khan in there and his minions. Joaquin, this is another one I don't think we've seen. 5, 3, and 3. Another one with Khan, so ironic that he would be right next to him there. Pay 1xc from your power base, or 0 if Khan is in play. So, and 5 combat, not too bad. You can definitely, we've seen plenty of cards that can boost that combat up one way or the other, either drawing more cards or just using the effect cards to get more combat cards. But yeah, I can see a Space Seed deck forming in my head already. If you can imagine a beautiful mind, all the equations are floating around my head. How can I use Khan Nguyen Singh to kick some butt? There's those Omicron SETI spores again. Dagger of the Mind, I know we've seen. There's another card from the Galileo 7. Here's one we haven't seen yet. Oh, and I'm losing all my cameras. So we're just going to do this. Logical argument. Current action is resolved using logic ratings and icons. Play before the action, and then we've seen her before. Oh no, my camera's back, but I have, if that's freezing up like that is a symptom of a low battery. So we're going to speed it up. Fortunately, I only have 5 left here. So again, fast, fast, fast. If these cards would stop sticking to each other. Yep, yep, yep. Seen all these, seen these. There's Space Seed again. Woo. Yesterday's Enterprise. Yep, we've seen all of these. Eve McCurran, I don't know that we've seen her. 2, 4, and 2. Uses temp, not too notable, but we'll see. Here's orders from Starfleet. We haven't seen this one. Of course, these ones are all coming up now. Play after a mission card is played. You may remember mission card is the Act 1, the first card of the episodes. Uh, Mission card is discarded. Current player may play a different mission, or default mission card cannot be played on a default mission. So a good way to get rid of a mission card. I haven't seen that one recently, so that's kind of a nice one to have. There's Beam Me Up Scotty again. Places 3, 5, and 4. Not too bad. Not too bad. No additional effect though, and you do have to pay 1XC. So something to keep in mind. We've seen that one. Here's the upside down cards. Let's see. Ensign Matthews with security. Yeah, I think we've seen him. Yeah, we've seen the Insane Miners, and we've seen Lieutenant Charlene Mathers. Let's keep it going. 4 more. Let's keep it going. Yep, seen that one. Yep, seen him. And lots of duplicates here. If you're looking for, if you find yourself needing any common cards, let me know. Yikes, we've seen that one too. Yep, seen Lazarus. Oh, another Beam Me Up Scotty. Never a bad thing to have. Places. All. We saw this at the very beginning. All humanity are now logic. If you're steering your deck toward a specific thing like logic, those effect cards are extra handy. Lieutenant de Ball, I know we've seen him, and he's got that helm. Oh, look at this. Here we go. Heroic Sacrifice. I do remember this. And nice shirt, too. I recognize that shirt. A nice wild card to play. Play if a crew is killed. Any other crew in your complement may be discarded instead. So if maybe you had no choice, you had to have one of those low value cards in there. You can sacrifice that one instead. And we've seen the Alien Savages, and we've seen Commander there, Commander Dude with that security card. Moving along, we're down to the last of them here. Yep, seen that one. Yep. Oh, I'm sure have we seen Former Love? Ruth? What is she, 3, 3, and 4? So again, kind of middle of the road. Let's see here, Ruth. A memory of the past is brought to life by alien technology. Ruth may use tempt against only one member of the landing party per episode. Interesting. So if she remains in play, she can't be used against any other members of the crew. So that's an interesting one. Oh, here's an effect we haven't seen. Dose of the Venus drug. +2 humanity when used by any challenge, +4 when used with attempt action. So yikes, that's a good one if you're the challenger and humanity is what you're shooting for. That's what you've geared your challenges toward, doing those humanity checks. Court martial, let's see, did we see this mission card? The Enterprise loses half its XC, round down, unless current player controls crew with engineering. Ooh, you better hurry and find that Scotty or some of those red shirts. Otherwise, your opponent could play that and put you in a bad spot right off the bat. Again, another one if you're planning to do some ship battles and take out the Enterprise. That's a handy one. It's a good one to keep in mind. King, I'm sure we've seen that one. Jim, this man's a Klingon. Wild card we haven't seen yet. Play on a challenge card. This card is Klingon for the duration of the episode. All other attributes are lost. So you add that Klingon keyword, but you lose the attributes there. Not too good. Here's Yarnik, a challenge we haven't seen yet. With the outwit 3, 3, and 3, so another middle of the road, but it does have telepathic. What does this say? Telepathic alien. When Yarnik is in play, the challenger wins all ties. That's Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Dr. Elizabeth Denner. I don't know that we've seen her yet. 2, 4, and 4. She's got that medical, so that helps. If any godlike challenger is in play, all of Denner's ratings are +1. Yeah. So if you know, if you think your opponent's going to be playing godlike cards, good one to have handy. 4 and 4, not too bad. Medical keyword is a good one to have. We know Dr. McCoy helps with that one, and he's part of the core crew, so he's always going to be there. Yeoman Mears, yeah, we've seen her before. Court Martial, the wild Court Martial card, play during crew phase when opponent plays crew card. Yeah, we've seen that. That's that dirty trick. And there's those insane minors again. Okay, down to the last 2. How are we going to do this here? What's happening? Yeah, we've seen this mission or discovery card. We've seen this one, seen this one, this one, this one. What do we have here? Oh, here's one that I was hoping to get, Lieutenant Marla McGivers. The Historian Lessons of History. Play 1XC to reshuffle your discard pile into your draw pile. So I'm glad that one came up 3, 2, and 3. So the abilities there, or the skills, not super high up there, but again, it's tough to see those cards that you've been waiting for disappear in an icon draw. So to be able to get those right back into your draw pile is nice. We've seen that. The enemy within, maybe we haven't, +2 XC or +3 if no members of the initial landing party have a combat rating of 4 or higher. So you can start out on the tough end, but if you planned for it, you can definitely work around it. There's that Jim, this man's a Klingon again. What do we have here? Have some Tranya. Delicious. That baby creeped me out too. Not in a bad way, but just kind of weird looking. All combat icons are now humanity icons. That could, if you've been watching and you've seen all these different things, you know that something like that can be very helpful if you're building a deck and kind of steering it toward a specific type of challenge. A card like that can be very valuable. Definitely you want to have 4 in there if humanity is the skill that you're focusing on. Have we seen Tristan Adams? Let's read it real quick. 2, 3, and 4. Dr. Adams. Let's say Dr. Adams is a crazed scientist with a mind control device. 2, 3, and 4. If you can take advantage of that scientist keyword, then you're helping yourself out. I know we've seen her. Here's another one with Ensign Angela Martin with maybe the screen grab that they weren't necessarily proud of, but had to make it work with the ship's phasers. We've seen this guy, a long-winded speech. Funny that we're at 3 hours and 20 minutes into this broadcast, and we would get this one toward the end. Current action is resolved using humanity ratings and icons. Play before resolving action. Again, that is a good one that would come in handy with that effect card that we just saw, changing all combat to humanity. So a good way, to see that synergy and see those things play. Okay, last one. What are we going to get? It's probably going to be all doubles. Let's see. Yeah, we know we've got that one, got that one. Let's move this over so you can see everything I'm doing here. That one. Yep, got that one. Yep. Oh, here's one we haven't seen. Did those 2 stick together? Hold on. We don't want to miss a good one. Oh, yeah. Okay, we've seen that one. This gentleman, Lieutenant Carl Yeager, analytical mind. He's a geologist. Analytical mind. Pay 1XC to add 1 logic icon to any icon draw. Pay 1xc for it. I'd rather get a free effect card uh, instead of putting this one in there, especially with 2, 3, and 4. 4 is not too bad, uh, but still, there's better ways to get those logic icons in there. There's that one. We've seen that one. Yeah, we've seen her. Yep. Here's the upside down ones. Decius, I know we've seen. Here we go, guys. Last ones. Yeah, I've seen Compellions. And yeah, Lieutenant Lang. So a little anticlimactic at the end there, but whew, there it is. All 3 hours and 24 minutes. Thank you again for watching this. If you've watched this whole time, again, I hope that I have convinced you to invest in this game. And heck, if you're looking for some cards, I've got a few. Uh, but yeah, and also if you're looking to play, I'm out there as well. Just reach out to me, Studio Squim, and we'll see if we can't get a game together and have some fun. Speaking of getting a game together, it is currently February 13th of 2025, and coming up, do have a big event. Winter Slam is coming up. Winter Slam 2025. That is on February 22nd. We are playing games here on Studio Squim. I'm a guest on other channels. We're playing games across 5 different channels all day, and it's not just Star Trek. It's not just X-Files, CCG. If you're familiar with my channel, you know that's a big game that we play here. But we're playing a game of Star Trek, the card game here that you just saw. We're playing a game of Versus System using the X-Files expansion. We're playing. There's going to be a game of Magic out there. Games all day, and the schedule is still being worked on, but it will be published very soon. It's changing all the time, but yeah, games all day on February 2nd across all these different channels. There's going to be something going on at all times of the day, and even though I mentioned the 22nd, Friday the 21st, we're going to kick off Winter Slam with a X-Files CCG state of the game discussion. We're going to have all the big players together, and we're going to be talking about some of the fan-made expansions that have been made. As a couple have been published already, but there are plenty more that are currently being developed. Season 5 of the X-Files CCG fan-made expansion is currently in playtesting, and you can see those playtests over on the Alien Investigations channel. I'll put a link to that channel in the description. He is also participating. Steven is the host there. He is also participating in Winter Slam, and he will be there to talk about his expansions, Season 4 and Season 5. We're going to have Guillaume they're talking about 6 and 7, and Stephen and Guillaume have promised a big reveal. If you're an X-Files CCG fan, which I assume you probably are, you'll see a big reveal. I don't even know what it is. I'm going to be surprised too. I believe it's an offshoot or some kind of the same but different, still being X-Files, but maybe a different way of playing the same cards. I don't even know, but I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'll be talking about my expansion, the Field Office Crime Lab. Nathan from the Chasing the Dragon channel will be there talking about his expansions. He's doing a season 1, 2, and 3 revisited. If you're familiar with the X-Files CCG, the published cards that were commercially released covered seasons 1, 2, and 3, including the Scully set, which was an abandoned. The card game got canceled. There was a Scully set that was going to be released. They made all the plans, but ended up being canceled before it went to the printer. Our friends Mike and Matt's of the X-Files CCG channel were able to dig that up, along with a friend of the game and a friend of all of our channels, Dax Golding. They were able to recover, all 3 of them were able to recover the plans for those Scully cards, and Dax faithfully recreated them from a notebook, a 3-ring binder that had all of those cards planned out. They had the screenshots and everything. I was this close to hitting the printer when the game was canceled. So a lot of effort went into reviving that Scully deck, that Scully expansion. So we'll talk about all these different expansions. If we have time after all of that, we might talk about some deck building tips. If you're looking to get into the X-Files CCG, we'll talk about some deck building tips to help you get started. And of course, you'll see the X-Files CCG played all throughout Winter Slam. For me, it culminates with a game of WCW Full Impact that I'm playing against Stephen on the Alien Investigations channel. You may see in the next day or two a little challenge video in the vein of WCW. I'm going to see if I can make it interesting for him. He thinks it's just going to be kind of a fun thing where we're playing just for shits and giggles, but I want to try to make it interesting. So keep your eyes peeled for that as well. So Winter Slam, clear your calendar, February 22nd. Be there February 21st on here on Studio Squim for that X-Files CCG discussion. And you'll be seeing games played on MMX File CCG on Alien Investigations here on Studio Squim. You'll see them on Mike DeChuck's channel, Do Not Pass Go. You'll also see them on Chasing the Dragon Media. I'll have links to all those channels so you can go and subscribe and be ready for Winter Slam. Clear your calendar, have plenty of drinks, pizza rolls, or have something delivered, whatever. You're going to be busy all day watching all this stuff. So thanks again for watching tonight's broadcast, opening the base set, a box of boosters from the base set of Star Trek, the card game. I hope you enjoyed it. Please, if you did, hit that like button. Definitely subscribe to the channel because we got lots of stuff coming up. More Star Trek, the card game. I've got a box of Starfleet Maneuvers, the extra expansion to this game. So we'll see a lot more of this game revealed, and you'll get a lot more little insider deck tips and see all the different effects and things you can do. We'll have Scooby-Doo, expandable card game, X-Files, all kinds of cool stuff. Versus system. I could go on and on and on. I've gone on for 3.5 hours. Thank you very much. I appreciate you staying with me. Have a great rest of your day, evening, morning, whatever time it is when you're watching this. Thanks again. Have a great day.